to another week of GDQ Hotfix shows. Tonight we have a new episode of Game Over. I'm your host for Game Over, Regal. Game Over is a show where we like to put on speedruns of games that are either known for their difficulty level or they're being played at a higher difficulty than normal. Sometimes with that, maybe a self-imposed challenge just to make things more interesting. Tonight, we have two really cool Resident Evil speedruns, so back-to-back Resident Evil runs. First up, we're going to have a Resident Evil 2 remake run on hardcore difficulty. It's going to be Claire second, run by Frit. And then after that, we're going to have a Resident Evil 7 run on Madhouse difficulty by Captain Ezekiel. But first, we're going to have Frit. Frit, you want to take it away from me?
Yeah, hello everybody. Today I'm doing Claire B Hardcore. I'm super excited for this run. It's a lot of fun. This game is a very beginner-friendly speedrun, and I think it's pretty exciting to watch. A lot of action today. I am here joined with Mondo, who is a former world record holder for several Resident Evil 2 remake categories. Mondo, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Mondo Mantra. I'm very old, and I used to be good at this game.
All right. Well, let's just jump right into it. The time will begin after the second cutscene skip here. So, count us down. 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Thank you. Okay, so a little bit about this category. So we're playing on hardcore difficulty. Enemies will put us into danger in one hit most of the time. So super dangerous compared to standard, which is relatively tame. There you just saw me do something called stair skating, where if you tap aim while going up or down stairs, it will cancel the animation that usually plays, and Claire and Leon will go a bit faster. So I'm playing as Claire. Claire has a unique mechanic that Leon doesn't have, which is that she runs 8% faster in caution. So for most of the run, I'm going to be absolutely terrified and in range of getting one-shotted always. So we're heading through the courtyard here. Gonna grab a few items. We get Claire's gun, the quick draw army, which is super strong and part of what makes this category so much fun to run. In the courtyard, we have a lot of zombies that I'm just gonna throw a grenade at because I am not interested in getting past all of them. We can pick up a replacement nade later. You may notice I'm using a skin mod. This skin mod was made by the user Arison C. It's a premium skin mod. This version, however, though, is customized specifically for me by my lovely girlfriend, Catastrophic. She is the Resident Evil 3 remake world record holder for 4 out of the 5 categories.
It's a pretty sweet skin, I gotta say.
Yeah. She customized the arm, the belt, the mask.
It looks good.
Put all the blue in there and changed the texture. Yeah, so we made it through courtyard just fine, thanks to that nade. Making it through courtyard is really rough without that. You spend a lot of the time resetting just that one room, that one area. But luckily it's at the beginning of the game, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's really rough.
Well, like the other categories I've seen you do that, like gas station start. This seems like maybe you kind of get into the run a little faster than the other categories.
Yeah, that's one of the big benefits of the B scenario is there's really no early game downtime. You just kind of jump into things like we're already at the RPB. Yeah. So here we're going to pick up an herb and we're going to pick up bullets. The reason we're picking up this herb is because there's a liquor in this hallway and we're just going to run straight into it. Because we got unlucky here, hopefully. Oh. Okay, so we're in caution now. So Claire's running 8%. Oh. Hold on. Oh, okay. That was scary.
That was scary.
The front of the skin looks really cool too. That just seeing it right there.
Yeah, the mask looks really sweet. That liquor was not supposed to chase me because I messed up a little bit there. I got chased, but we handled it well. Here we're going to do a safety strat that I believe Mondo came up with. If you just wait at the top of these stairs here, this lady, who will be in the way later, will just fall off the banister there. We're just moving through the RPD. We have the detonator. We're going to get the battery now. We're trying to collect the 3 medallions. Once we get the 3 medallions and put them into the center of the main hall, we can go to the second section of the run, which classic menu is not working. The second section of the run is called RPD 2. We're in RPD 1 right now.
Makes sense. So
We have exchange.
no, I was gonna ask, like, how you said you were like in caution the whole time and you're 1 hit away from death. Is there anything that would like kill you in 1 hit anyways?
There is nothing that can one-shot us aside from a boss fight later on. Well, there are some enemies that are one-shot, but they're not too worrisome.
So the danger is definitely from just being in caution.
Yeah, the danger is from being in caution. If we get grabbed on stairs, the run is just over. You just die there.
Yeah. The reason why you would die on the stairs is because those of you maybe like seen played the game before, you can't really tell from gameplay, but when you do the falling animation, when the zombie falls on top of you, that does like 100-ish damage. And then you take damage from the grab, and that is why you can sometimes get one shot.
Yeah. Oh, super unlucky here. I might have been able to get away with that, but it's really unlucky to have that zombie aggroed there. It's kind of bad for later, but we should be able to get away with it if we're lucky. So yeah, this library section is random because that female zombie there is... her position is just completely random. So we're heading down there. We have 2 medallions right now. We're going to pick up our 3rd here. These puzzles, the medallion puzzles, are random. The starting position is random, but the solution is always the same. So it adds a pretty huge level of randomness to the game. You'll notice I'm pausing when I shoot these zombies. The reason for that is because on hardcore, the zombies will stagger in a totally random number of bullets. On this specific category, they can stagger in 1 bullet or 2 bullets. So when I pause after I shoot, I'm just checking to see if they staggered and if I can run by.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to mention that if you watch Standard, you might be wondering why not to hit the head. And I don't think it's... Is it possible to get staggered in hardcore on the head for it? I'm trying to remember. I think it is.
It is, but it's actually like it's even more random than the leg shots. Like it can take up to like 4 shots. It's really bad.
Yeah, it's just so uncommon to go for the headshots that.
Yeah,
I've completely forgot. It takes like 1 billion.
So we're going into our first boss fight here. I turned the image quality down. The reason for that is we want stable frames for this fight because the knife does way more damage the higher your frame rate is. So yeah, that's the first boss fight then. Just some knife slashes and 6 shots to his eye. That fight is actually a little random because the gun we're using can obviously, one very common mechanic in Resident Evil games is that guns can do critical hits. So their normal shot will do like 2 or 3% to G1 there. But if you get a crit, it can do like 7%, I believe, which cuts down the fight time significantly.
What's the speed difference between like 60 FPS versus 120 in that knife fight?
Yeah. I should have mentioned that earlier. This is Claire B Hardcore 120 FPS. The most run categories are the 120 FPS categories, but the 60 FPS categories are still very highly ran on this game. The differences between them are 60 FPS kind of has a a finicky menu. When you go into the inventory, it's far less responsive than 120 FPS.
Yeah.
And the biggest difference, the huge difference between the two is that the knife on 120 FPS is the strongest weapon, not even close. On 60 FPS, it's quite a bit weaker. It's still used,
Yeah.
but it won't be killing the bosses, like melting them like butter.
So it's like very noticeable, like difference in speed in the boss fights.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Yeah, the strats are like night and day.
Yeah, because like that, I mean, I'm sure there's like, stuff that you're doing specifically there, but it looks like you're just spamming completely like on the boss with the
Yeah.
knife, and it ends so quickly.
yeah. Speaking of things that look easy that aren't, is this room. Okay, luckily we didn't get hit there. One more thing. Okay, good, nice. That room is super tricky. The first time through there's 2 lickers that we run by. The movement through there without getting hit is extremely precise. And then that hallway there at the end, we just have to turn around. That way the licker will miss us.
Made it look easy.
Yeah, a lot of hours.
Yeah. But like you said, like a lot of things, like in a speedrun, when done well, like it's so much more difficult than it looks.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think this game it really exemplifies that. It's simple at face value. The game, there's not a ton going on mechanically, but it's the precision. That's where the difficulty comes from, is doing everything consistently as well as possible. So because of the routing I'm using, I'm doing a slightly different route than what you would do on the world record. Our inventory is actually full here. So one of the big differences between standard and hardcore on this game is that we don't get any hit pouches. So our inventory space is always the same throughout the run. So we're going to be using the bank, and we're going to be just discarding items properly. We'll mess up there. I bet Cat's laughing at me right now. We're gonna discard something here because we have to pick up this large gear, which is 2 slots. If we didn't get rid of the knife there, then my inventory would have been full.
I like the menuing in this game. Menuing is always like an underappreciated aspect of speedrunning, I think.
Absolutely. It's super vital to this game as well.
I can see it.
All right, so we have a bit more RNG here. This lady that's at the stairs could stumble towards me, and of course she does. But just one shot will nullify her there. We're headed into a super hectic part of the run, so I am going to quiet down a little bit and focus up. I'm gonna let Mondo take over for this. We're gonna meet Mr. X here.
Hello.
And we're just gonna run by.
Yeah, that dodge is it looks easy. That one is not easy. There's kind of precise positioning you need to do. So because it's really easy. Like if you noticed, he didn't walk right up next to him, because if you do that, the moment he hits a certain animation, he will immediately throw you to the ground. So the positioning on that dodge is pretty precise. There's also a safer one you can do from farther away where you aim. But yeah, that was pretty cool to see.
So some very precise movement there to avoid that licker.
Yeah.
And discard this key. Set up our inventory. All right, well, we got X and the zombie there, so I'm just gonna go the other way.
This is rough.
Marvin can sometimes be right outside that door, so I'm just pausing to check and see if he's there. What we have here is really scary. Okay. So usually earlier on in the game, we get to push these shelves once, but here I did not get to. So we might be in a really bad spot here.
Okay.
I just did another shot manipulation there. You saw I shot the wall there. The reason I did that is because it will actually manipulate the zombies into completely ignoring me in this room. That one was found very recently by, once again, my lovely girlfriend, Catastrophic.
I feel like
which has made this run.
No, I was just sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I feel like I've seen you do several shots so far to probably influence enemies.
Yeah. There was quite a few there. One before I picked up the library jack, I shot just the floor. I do that to lure Mr. X to the spot that I want him to be in. He kind of wasn't in the spot I wanted him to be in there, but it ended up working out okay. I did another one outside the library, which manipulates a different zombie to ignore me. There, we made it through the library quite luckily, and with Catastrophic shot manip there, the zombies just completely ignored us.
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
I thought in the past, because I think it's been kind of like this is like a very minor like time save routing thing, but like so. Have you timed out if it's faster to push all three shelf pushes in one go, or to like do one after the ladder? I'm guessing you did it that way because it's slightly faster.
Yeah, pushing the shelf 3 at once is like about a second faster than not, but it's super unsafe. I think with that new shot manipulation though, it could be viable for not only hardcore but standard as well. There we just picked up a flash. The flash isn't going to be used until later in sewers. We've been collecting these electronic part boxes. That was the goal of RPD2, is to collect those 2 boxes. Once we reach this room here, we're going to start the sherry section. The sherry section is quite long and not a lot happening. So if you need to use the bathroom or get a drink, get a snack, it would be a good time for that. I also want to show off something really neat here that was discovered between Kat and I. Kat found it accidentally. There's a puzzle coming up, and you can actually see the solution in this cutscene.
Oh, really?
So we're gonna wait. Yeah, we're gonna wait for it to switch over to Sherry here.
Stupid kid.
And then we can see the block puzzle in the background, and you can actually see the solution before you get to it. Right. So here it is.
Oh,
the blocks won't change.
Interesting.
Positions.
Is that a random puzzle, or is it like consistent?
It is. Yeah, it is random.
Oh, but you can just see it anyways. That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. So we're just gonna get into it. Sherry's movement.
And this game is timed by IGT, right? So you could. Is that true? So like you could watch the cutscene and it not affect your time, see the puzzle solution, and then just know it already.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Because it's because it's timed by IGT, you wouldn't lose anything.
There's been some interesting like watch the cutscene strats in Resident Evil games. I remember there was one in Resident Evil 4 remake. I don't know if they still use it, but like there was one where you like watched the Krauser cutscene, and then you could do like a skip on his like first phase just by watching it.
Oh yeah. That is still used.
Is it still used? Okay, yeah, but it's like, but you have to like sit there and like watch for like a minute or something just to like get this like small time save. So yeah, funny strats that happen from IGT.
Yeah.
Also, I'm wondering, Frit, you can actually also see. Can you see the puzzle after the movement for the block too? Like you could also technically pause and look at the solution then too, right?
Oh yeah, you could actually go out of the puzzle there and then go back into it after pausing. That might save you a little time.
But I mean before you get to the blocks.
Oh yeah, you can.
Okay, got it. Because like, the reason why I wanted to elaborate, because like, some people who have like pause buffered like medallions, for example, in the past, it's kind of really hard to get a good angle to see them. But sometimes people will go into the puzzle, like and then like pause, and then like sometimes even people have like looked at like the replays really quick. So,
Yeah.
I just wanted to elaborate that if you could see it before actually getting into it, because doing that is slightly slower.
Yeah. So Chief Irons is chasing us. We are Sherry. This is one of the... Well, it's the most boring section of the run. It's pretty much just sitting around waiting.
Yeah. Not a lot to
need
optimize here, I guess.
Exactly. We're just kind of waiting for him to walk around.
Is this a good spot to get in like a couple announcements for it?
Absolutely.
Okay,
This is a
great.
good spot.
So, everyone, Summer Games Done Quick 2025 will be live in Minneapolis from July 6th to the 13th. You can register to attend the event by May 26th. You can use !SGDQ in Twitch chat or visit gamesdonequick.com for more info. Also, you can join the official GDQ Discord and add the Hotfix role, where you can keep tabs on upcoming events, talk with staff, and more. Use !Discord in the Twitch chat for more info. And back to you, Frit. And Sherry as well.
Sherry. Noticed this the other day. These blocks say GG. I thought that was...
Oh, really? Yeah, I see it. I see it.
So we're just going to sit in this corner here. Once Irons points his flashlight over here, we can run over to this spot, stand right here. This is actually a safe spot where you can't get kidnapped here. And Irons will be running past us in just a moment to get into the bathroom. Then we're going to steal his key. And we're going to be finishing up this Sherry section.
Also, I just wanted to mention, so you crouched in that corner there for because of hardcore, the difficulty adjustment, correct?
Yeah, I did, yeah. To elaborate on that, the spot I was standing in there at the end, you can, on standard, you can actually just stand there. Like, you don't have to hide in that corner. The way Iron's vision works is actually different on hardcore and standard. You have to be a little bit more worried on hardcore, but not to a crazy degree. He's just a little bit smarter.
Also, I realized also we didn't mention how there's difficulty adjustment in this game.
Yeah.
It is one of the main mechanics of the game. It's actually not relevant on hardcore because there's only one difficulty rank. So you're essentially at the max rank the whole run. So you don't have to worry about certain difficulty adjustment and maxing, which is like a big part of like the mid and late game of like the standard categories. But in this, it's not really relevant. Luckily.
Does that make the run more consistent? Or
It does. It kind of balances out though. Because hardcore is so much more random with the leg shots staggering randomly.
Yeah, so there are extra inconsistencies, but that brings back a little more consistency, I guess.
Yeah,
I understand.
I would say that's accurate.
Yeah, and like in standard, for example, trying to keep your rank lower is also a way of making like headshot staggers more consistent. Because once you get onto like what's rank 7 standard, you really want to be on rank 6, because otherwise it's RNG if you get the headshot or not, which is a big deal. That can kill your run.
Yeah.
So.
That is interesting.
But in this, it's like it's always pretty much the same.
All right, so we're running away from X. We just got outside the RPD. Everybody wants to take shoe shots today. They don't want me to have bullets. This section is pretty rough in the run. We have to shoot, well, once we reach sewers, we'll have to shoot 4 zombies in total, and they can all tank a random number. Well, they can all tank between 1 and 2 shots. So we're really hoping to save some ammo here and not have to deal with that. We also have what is probably the most the biggest like random reset point in the entire game, really, is it's known as Bus Dog. Coming up, we're gonna run into a bus and stagger a zombie, and then outside of that bus is gonna be a dog that is totally random and can just instantly kill your run if you're unlucky.
Okay.
So here we go. Here we're coming up on it. We're gonna pick up a grenade, stagger this guy, and hope that we don't get bit. And we did not get bit.
Thank you, Bus Dog.
Oh, we might get bit.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes he can bite you when you're running away.
That would have been amazing, actually.
Yeah. Really glad to save the heal there. We have an emergency safety herb just in case I got bit there. Luckily, I did not. It looks a little anticlimactic, but it has devastated many people, including my friend and the runner for RE7 later on today, Captain Zico. He has a hilarious clip of him getting a very unfortunate bus dog encounter. Highly recommend.
Dogs in video games, they can be really, really brutal.
Sherry, I'll be
Yeah.
right there.
Okay, so we're meeting up with Sherry again, but she's gonna be gone again, so it's kind of just come and go with her.
Don't stop.
All right. So we've reached the sewers. The sewers is, in the A scenario, a relatively chill part of the run. It's definitely annoying, but
Sherry.
not nearly as rough as the B scenario. There's an extra zombie placed in our way. Well, 2 extra zombies placed in our way that we'll encounter later on. Yeah, I'm gonna just take a moment and chill here before we have our last,
Yeah.
our third zombie encounter.
Breathe, some downtime.
Go up this big flight of stairs.
I do really like the movement in this game.
Yeah,
At least watching it.
It has-
I don't know about actually doing it.
yeah, everybody wants to take 2 bullets today. Yeah, that's a little scary, that zombie lunging towards us, but we're fast enough there to make it by.
Be right there.
Here, I'm just going to be safe. I am going to take these ink ribbons and I'm going to make a save because this part of the run is rough and very unforgiving. So we're just going to go ahead and make that save. Then we're going to bank a few things. Yeah. So we banked the nade, a knife, the 2 keys that we don't need anymore, and those ink ribbons. We have one more zombie coming up here.
I also think it's worth mentioning that I'm pretty sure hardcore is the only, that's like the only set of categories where banking is optimal.
Yeah.
Because of so for those that don't know, not only are there no autosaves in hardcore, there's also like the saving with the ink ribbons. There's also, it's very short on the hip pouches, which make your inventory bigger. So you're very, very limited on inventory. There is one in like the RPD we could have grabbed, but it's about 30 seconds, I think, slower. And also you have to deal with hardcore enemies, so it's very far from worth it.
So we're having our first encounter here with the G-adult enemies. They are super, super obnoxious. They have just very broken hitboxes. But we won't really have to deal with them for another couple minutes. The goal of the sewers is to find these 3 chess pieces that are in here to solve a puzzle. And once we solve that puzzle, we get to fight the second boss of the run. We'll be there in a little bit. This section is pretty dense. It takes a little bit. We shoot this one here to make him go in the water and not disturb us. I'm gonna do another chop manipulation here to make this guy ignore me, hopefully. Okay, well, he didn't want to ignore us, but he didn't grab us, so that's good. That might be super problematic later on. towards the end, those two zombies there can be in our way on the way back and just be in totally impossible positions. So yeah, we might be getting grabbed there later on, but we'll see. See if we can pull something out.
That's like one of the few places in the game where, depending on where the zombies were before you left, they'll be in like kind of like, how do I explain it? Kind of like the same positions, or like because a lot of rooms, I think when you come back into them, sometimes it just puts them into preset locations. So there it can be kind of dynamic, like the guy being on the stairs, for example, is kind of bad RNG because you have to go up those stairs later. So things like that.
Okay, so there was a pretty scary moment. The wall that I shot there actually extends out way further than it shows, so I missed the enemy I was supposed to shoot and shot the wall instead. Pretty bad given our current bullet count, but we should be able to manage, hopefully. Here we're actually going to pick up a new weapon. This is a weapon that we only use in the hardcore categories. The optimal routing doesn't use the spark shot anymore, but here we need it for G2 and G3. So we just put the chest puzzle piece in and grab that. I threw a flash here to just get these enemies out of our hair. They are super annoying. And just one flash gives us enough time to actually go through this whole room.
Yeah, I noticed you only have 2 bullets left, so they've been really dwindling your supply.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. We have a zombie here that might be in the water or might be on the ledge. I actually didn't have to shoot him there, but it's really hard to recognize that. We have a G adult in our way, which kind of sucks. But the spark shot is really strong, or really strong for the G adults, I should say. We can just shoot that one and run by. We have another one coming up here. All right, we are through. I'm really not sure what to do coming up, because we're gonna have some really bad positions. It might be better to just get grabbed and go. Just take the time loss. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see
ideally not on the stairs.
Yeah, ideally not on the stairs. Okay. No, we're just gonna. Oh, can't pick that up.
Oh God.
I really needed that nade, but we're just gonna move on.
Okay. That's
Are you gonna grab the one on the labs after the solution puzzle?
Either that one or the one in the room with the spark shot bullets. I'm not sure which one.
the problem for
That was just really
problem for future Frit.
Exactly, it's a problem for me to solve later. We're gonna grab the other nade we have, because if we didn't have another nade, we would be in for a really bad time. Gonna make my other safety save, which will make me feel way, way more comfy. So now we gotta solve the chest puzzle room. It's the same thing every time. Just put the pieces in where they're supposed to go. Lots to memorize in this game, unfortunately. There are so many puzzles, and most of them are random. But luckily, this one this one's nice in comparison.
On my way.
I'm not a fan of random puzzles.
I wanted to briefly mention that ammo is very hard to come by, especially in hardcore, because they tweaked the values so that I think the pack number goes down.
Yeah.
Like a certain amount percentage. So also, I guess we'll talk about G2 instead.
Yeah. So just prefacing this is the hardest boss in the Ren. I'm gonna do my best to make it through this, but we'll see how it goes. We have a safety save just in case.
Should have known you wouldn't die.
I'm gonna quiet down here and try and focus up, because this is really nerve-wracking. Okay, so he's dropping fast. Got a bad well, not necessarily a bad pattern, but not the one I was hoping for. Okay, perfect. All right. So we were actually quite fortunate there. I got the attack that I really wanted, the attack that's not so random. Our goal here is to get G2 to 61.3% health before we shoot the spark shot at him, and that will do just enough damage. Just enough damage to get him below his threshold.
Nice.
He has a 50% health threshold there. Usually you have to hit him twice with the crane. Did I forget something? No, I did not. Okay. Usually we have to hit him twice with the crane, but if you get him below 50% health, you can just hit him once, and that saves about 30 seconds.
Nice.
I was super duper nervous for that fight, but we got very, very fortunate. And it actually went really smooth.
Yeah, I would say G2 on Claire Hardcore, any of them, is probably like probably the worst boss in the entire game. Just because you have a 50% chance for a horrible RNG, which luckily he didn't get, so.
Yeah. All right, so that completely concludes the sewer section. We're heading to Nest or Labs now. I'm a grenade down, so I'm gonna have to find somewhere to pick one up. I do have a plan, but we'll see how that goes.
The cable car.
Did you grab the one before the upgrade for the wristband?
Okay. Better check everything.
We wouldn't usually grab that one, but I think that's the one I'm gonna grab.
That might be the fastest one optimally, but I don't know if the zombie will be in your way, though.
Yeah, that is what I'm concerned about right now. That there's one zombie in the cafeteria that if I decide to grab the grenade,
I'm getting you treatment.
they will probably show up in my way, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. We've done pretty good so far.
It'll be fine.
No deaths just
It'll
yet.
be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. We got Sherry kind of clipping through our body here. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but we're gonna hope for the best here.
I actually noticed that G2, the rifle, because she holds it a certain way, half the rifle is invisible for some reason.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna have to discard something here. Let's see what we do here. So, usually we wouldn't grab this grenade over here, but kind of have to. I'm gonna grab this herb as well, so I just got rid of all of my safety. Picked up some spark shot rounds there to hopefully make labs a bit more pleasant. We're gonna need to bank that grenade because we actually don't have enough space to have a grenade in our inventory. So we have a zombie.
Oh, sorry, what?
That zombie is very random and he's in the worst spot he can be in. Oh, we're just gonna pause. Oh, there he is. Knew he would be camping the door there. Very scary, but we have the safety to get by him.
And like this whole time, right, you've just been in caution, right? Like, yeah, I just want to emphasize that. Like, y'all, he's like one hit from death this whole time, I assume.
Yeah, and on top of that, there is very little heals in this category. So if we get put into danger, we basically can't do anything. A lot of the rooms just don't work in danger. A lot of the optimal strats that I would usually do. And we're about like 20% slower than this in danger.
I was about to say, like, I assume like danger is like a different speed that is just worse.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Also, I think, I'm not sure if this is related to like sounds that the character makes, because I think the characters are a bit noisier on lower HP, but it's either related to the state of HP or the noises, because aggro is also different on health states regardless of speed. So like, for example, with Leon, caution is pretty much the same, except on stairs you get a slower animation, even though you animation cancel it with the pistol. But like, if you're on danger with Claire, it's completely different than you know, caution with Claire, even just like aggro wise.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This year we had a keypad puzzle. Those change depending on the scenario you're in. So I put in the B codes. That opens a hatch in this room and allows us to do another puzzle coming up. We are encountering the IVs. The IVs are totally one-shot unless you have a defensive item. So we have flashes that we can burn on them, but if we run out of flashes, then a grab will just be dead, regardless of difficulty, regardless of your health. Also, sorry, Kat, I didn't do the quick turn. Or I did the quick turn.
I'm just curious, have you actually not gotten hit yet? Besides the caution manip earlier in the run, have you gotten hit yet?
Yeah, so far we are no damage aside from the attack we take on purpose.
That's actually pretty crazy for a marathon run.
Is there like
hopefully we can manage
a chance, like if you had a heal and you saw yourself in a dangerous spot, you could like heal for safety, then take another hit to get back into caution? Or what?
Unfortunately, most of the attacks will just put you directly into danger from fine. So you can be at max health and just instantly.
Yeah, I see.
That's why hits are so devastating on this.
Also, what's nice about Claire, like the HP system in this game, though, is like if you were to use a fast at danger, you would go back to fine, but herbs only heal about 400. So if you're in danger, an herb heals enough to be always in caution, so you don't have to worry about getting caution again. But if you grab a fast, you will have to figure out a way to get caution back.
I packed my parka.
Okay, so we're headed back into one of the scariest rooms in the game, one of the rooms that I'm sure if you've ran this game, you know very well as a run killer. Hopefully we should be able to manage. There's 2 lickers and 3 zombies in this room, and hopefully with a shot manip. Oh, that's really unlucky. Okay, so Okay, I had to super improvise there. That was really scary. You are not supposed to get attacked there by that liquor. That was really unlucky. But luckily we managed with a lot of pretty good finesse, if I do say so myself.
So that, like Mondo was saying, like that herb put you back into caution, right?
Yeah, put us right back into caution. Unfortunately, we're in a situation now where I don't have any safety. I had an extra flash there, which came in very handy, but we kind of needed another one. But hopefully we can get through this area without, getting grabbed. Otherwise, I will have to abandon the category rules and pick up the infinite knife, which I don't really want to do. I would like to have a regular run, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Just a bit more to go. Oh my god, that's scary. Oh. Very nice game.
Yeah, that was...
Okay. We're free. Goodness.
Yeah, that's like the last spot where like dying in the run is kind of possible. I think it's very hard to actually die unless something goes horribly wrong at one of the bosses.
Yeah, like Mondo said, we have 3 bosses left over, and pretty much no other enemy encounters in the run. So we're coming up on G3 now, and hopefully I can execute that well. I have all the stuff I need. If I got grabbed there by one of those IVs, the run would technically be dead because I would have to pick up the infinite knife from the box, which would make this a New Game Plus run. And we want to do this legit. No New Game Plus.
We'll just change the category on the description on the fly.
There you go.
No one will notice.
Yeah. All right. So I actually have just enough ammo. I have 3 spark shot shots, which is just enough for G3. And I have some extra ammo in my pistol here, which really isn't too useful, but yeah. This boss fight will take 3 Sparkshot shots and 3 pretty much full HP knives. The knives do have HP in this game. They can break after a certain amount of slashes, so we have to conserve them very well.
Gotta get back to Sherry.
So here goes. We're running to fight G3 here.
You said there's 3 bosses left?
Yeah, 3 bosses.
Yeah, I haven't played this game in forever, so I don't even like remember.
All right, so we did our 3 Sparkshot shots on his eyes to put him out of commission for a little bit, and then we're just gonna basically do some very precise knifing with our knives. We don't have a lot of excess HP, so we have to be very, very precise with our slashes. Try and get as many eye hits as we can. Oh, he is not dead. I thought he would die there, but there we go. We got past G3. That's a bit stressful, but not too bad compared to G2 from before. I'm very happy with my performance so far. That was pretty sweet.
I have a bit of a nerd moment right now. I'm just curious, was it intentional not doing the animation cancels for the spark shot?
No, actually, that was that's just how I find it comfy.
Okay, because like I think when like you let go of right click after shooting the needle, it'll save like a second or something.
Yeah, it does cancel the shot faster. I'm actually not sure. I haven't seen that applied on G3 ever. That might be a good time save to look into.
Yeah, I think maybe that was lost information because like back when Clay Ray Standard was
Sherry,
like used it, or I guess Clay B Standard
I
too.
want to rush you. We have
Used to have spark shot. That was a time save, and it also makes the fight significantly easier. Where you just let go right after the needle explodes, and you'll save a little bit of time. So I was wondering if that was intentional or not. So maybe you have a new time save.
That is really good to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a long elevator here. Moment to chill, moment to relax before the final 2 boss fights. We have G4 and G5. G4 is a super interesting fight. He doesn't actually have health. You have to pop 85 eyeballs on his chest. And we're going to do that with 1 knife and 2 nades. And our minigun that we're going to get soon.
For helping me. I'm really glad I met you.
Yeah, he only does if the eyes pop, but also he does technically have an HP bar, so does Tyrant. The HP bars are so astronomically large that it's impossible to make it 0. So
Yeah. What do they have? Something like 3 trillion health or something?
3 trillion.
like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like something ridiculous.
The other boss fights we've been doing have around 30,000, 24,000, something like that.
I believe you can do
like
it.
2
You can do
billion.
it, Fred.
All right, we're holding the door open here for Sherry as she has to push the door open, and that's slow, so we're gonna hold that open for her. We have some IVs in this area, but they're totally harmless to us. We can just run by. And Sherry's just able to get by no problem because she's immortal, I guess.
It's one of the nice changes from compared to the remake and the original. In the original, Sherry will get scared and crouch.
Yeah.
And if you do not do movement around that in the speedrun, you will lose a ton of time. So luckily in this game, it's kind of like an afterthought. You don't really have to worry about Sherry ever, which is nice.
That is not ideal. We really wanted to save that knife for this Ivy, but we will be okay. We're just gonna have to be a little careful.
Son of a bitch.
There we go. That should give us enough time to get this door open. Sherry has to open it for us. There we go. Do a little cool movement tech there to breeze by her. Usually you have to wait for her to get out of the way, but some cool quick turns you can squeeze right by. Oh yeah, we have that last zombie there. That zombie actually has 1 HP, I believe. So any amount of damage will kill that zombie. So we just shoot him once there. And we're coming up on G4. I will once again be going quiet for this fight because I have to focus pretty good for this one. There's a super cool quick kill you can get on G4, but it's incredibly strict. I'll see if I can get it, but no promises. Here we go. Picking up the minigun and going to fight G4 now.
8 minutes until.
All right. Nice. So that was really good. We only needed to pop 1 eye after all that, which means I almost got the super quick kill, but not quite. Just missed 1 eye there. And now we just gotta minigun him to death. There we go. G4 is down. And now we have the final fight here. So we're fighting G5 now. G5 is really scary. He does have a 1-shot. If he hits me, it's a 1-shot and the run dies. So we're gonna try and not do that. And we have to get insanely close to him to do damage. So try and stay as far away from him as we can. All right. So we gotta get him down to 20% health left. Which I'm just gonna do with the minigun because I am way too scared to get in there right now. And then here we gotta do 4 slashes once he approaches us one more time, and he should die. A little scary. Wait, let's turn the audio down 1 second. Sorry for the anticlimactic moment. There we go. Okay, GG.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
That is time, by the way.
Oh, okay, time. All right. Good to know. Well, that was like
Just forgot
a
it.
super sick run. I think, did you only get hit once throughout that run? Other than the setup for caution?
Yeah, other than the setup for caution, I only took 1 hit of damage there. I got pretty unlucky in the lab liquor section, and like I said, it's a really rough one, so it's not a surprise.
Well, that was
I'm gonna lift.
super impressive for it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm gonna let this cutscene play out because it's a lovely cutscene. We get to hang out with Sherry and Leon and Claire.
Sure. I actually I don't know if I've ever done this scenario. Like, I don't think I've seen this boss fight before. I'm like, what is this? Like, you don't do this boss fight otherwise, right?
Yeah, this is not an A scenario. This is just an
That's why I was wondering, like, what other bosses is there?
All right. I guess I'll do some shout outs now while we're just cooling off. Thank you so much to GDQ and Regal. Thank you for the opportunity to do this. This was super cool. I was really nervous, but got through it pretty well. Just one little hiccup there. Thank you so much, Mondo, for joining me for commentary again for our second time on GDQ Hotfix.
Look, he might be able to give us a ride.
This game is a lot of fun. I would highly recommend speedrunning it. It's very beginner friendly. It's easy to jump into and learn and get a grip on. I have a tutorial that I made for Leon A Standard 120 FPS. So yeah, if you're interested in this game, please do check out the speedrun.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much
If I was
thank you
going
so
to
much.
learn this run, I would look at your tutorial. Like, it looks like you know what you're doing for it.
Yeah, it's been a good 4,000 hours of this
Dang.
game. So I have a good amount of knowledge.
Yeah, that's hefty.
We'll stop it. Whatever it takes.
And the biggest shout out, thank you so much to Catastrophic, spelled with a K. She is the Resident Evil 3 Remake world record holder. She customized my skin here that I use today.
You guys can adopt me.
She is lovely.
We can get a puppy.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the run.
I always wanted
And yeah, and enjoy Captain Ezekiel's run, because I know I will. Very much looking forward
Yeah.
to watching that now.
Yeah, so speaking of that, that was an amazing run, Frit. Thank you so much for showing that off. But as Frit said, stick around because we have another really cool, like, high difficulty run of another Resident Evil game coming up next by another really fantastic runner, Captain Ezekiel. Captain Ezekiel is going to be running Resident Evil 7 on Madhouse difficulty. So I'm really excited to see that as well. But yeah, that was Resident Evil 2 Remake on hardcore. Thank you so much for it, and thank you, Mondo. But we're going to go to a break, and we'll set up the next run. So yeah, stick around. We'll be right back, y'all. Hey, y'all, welcome back. I hope you are ready for our next run. We have, like I said before the break, we have a really cool high difficulty run from Captain Ezekiel, going to be running Resident Evil 7, new game on Madhouse difficulty. Go ahead and take it away for us, Zeke.
Sounds good. Thanks, Regal. I appreciate that. I run, like Regal said, I'm Captain Ezekiel. I'm a horror speedrunner, mostly known for Resident Evil games, but primarily known for this one right here, which is Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. We'll go into a little bit of details about the game, the difficulty, and things we're doing in a second. I'm going to have my commentator, Niddle, introduce himself.
Hey everybody, my name is Needle. I'm a horror speedrunner as well. I run a lot of RE7, I run a lot of Silent Hill 2, and this run has not been shown with all the new stuff that's been added. So you're kind of getting a first glimpse at how this category's changed.
Cool.
And it's changed quite a lot in just the last few months. So pretty excited for this one.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely some new stuff you're going to see, specifically pertaining to the out of bounds and boss strats. So yeah, we'll talk about that in a second, but timer is going to start the second I start the Madhouse run here. So I'll count it down from 3. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Thank you. So Resident Evil 7. If you're not unfamiliar with the game, this is different than the other parts of the franchise except for Village. It's in first person. If you never played the game Resident Evil before, it's a first person horror experience. It's one of my personal favorites in the franchise. I say that a little bit biased. I have about 3,500 hours in the game, but RE7 is a very fun game. A lot of great horror elements, and the combat in the game is very nice. And in terms of the speedrun, we have a lot we're going to basically be going over. There's going to be a lot of weapon swapping. Boss strats are very specific, and menuing is a big deal. And we're going to cover a lot of that. But first, let's talk about why we're here. That girl you just saw on the screen, she's not good, but everyone says she is, so I'm gonna have to disagree. That's Mia Winters. We are going to be playing as Ethan Winters. We're going to get this screen recording, which doesn't really make sense. It's supposed to be where's the webcam? So I don't really understand this laptop she's on, but essentially Mia's recording a message and sending it to Ethan. And our job as Ethan is to go save our wife who's been missing for 3 years. It's a similar concept to that sort of like Silent Hill 2, which I learned the game took inspiration from in that regard. So we're going to play as Ethan. We're going to go save Mia. Got a lot to do. Going to meet a lot of guys, a lot of different interesting individuals. Mainly the guy we focus on is Jack Baker. We're gonna have a lot of fun with him later, but that's kind of the gist of why we're here. Let's talk about Madhouse. Madhouse is very different than easy or normal in a lot of different ways. The biggest one being is that we get almost no checkpoints, like barely any. And to put that into perspective, we get a couple checkpoints in Guest House, which is the start of the game, and then we get one at the start of the main house. We do not get another one until we have completed 2 boss fights and are approaching the final areas of the game. So there's like a 30-minute gap between a checkpoint. So that's a big difficulty element in it too.
Yeah, besides the fact that enemies can basically put Ethan to like 1 HP on a single shot, there's a lot that they did to make Madhouse a little bit different from the other difficulties. So key items aren't in the same spots. We have to do some different things to get some different items. It's actually a really good difficulty swap. They also throw some enemies in spots that they don't appear in the other difficulties, and some extra enemies. So on top of everything, like hitting like a truck, and Ethan just kind of taking a lot of damage from everything, you also have to contend with all the differences that this difficulty.
It's
also
not
brings.
just enemies scaled up. It's more than that. That's cool.
Yeah, it is a lot more than that. I mean, like you mentioned with the key items, progression of the game kind of changes a little dramatically, because you get like a key that we need early that you would need later after a boss fight. We actually instead get it at the start of the game to progress the game. So it's very interesting how the progression changes with it. I would say on top of enemies being incredibly powerful, one thing they did in this game is they like took the little enemy speed slider and they just cranked it up to max. Not only do enemies hit really hard, they're also insanely fast. And this is like, for some reason, double effective on Jack. That guy we just walked past, that old man that walked in front of us, that's Jack Baker. You're going to see a lot of him, trust me. He's our tyrant of this game. He's our main antagonist to a degree. We fight him multiple times. He pursues us. He's a little bit of a jerk a lot of the times, but he's very fast on that house. Like it's like not even like it's kind of funny because he's just inhumanly fast. So I just did a retry there. You're gonna see a couple of those. We don't get very many of them in Madhouse because we don't get very many checkpoints, but we get a couple in Guest House, and the whole purpose of it is that one lets us go faster. And the way that works is we're faster outdoors, but for some reason when we go indoors, we lose that speed. But if you retry the checkpoint, it gives it back to us. And I'm not quite sure why, but it's a nifty little thing that we do a few times. And I'm also going to swap my FPS here. We're going to do that a lot in Madhouse to get us through tight spaces that would slow Ethan down and get us past enemies that would otherwise body block us.
Yeah, FPS plays a huge role in just this engine in general, as you kind of saw in Fritz's run of RE2R. The RE engine is sort of susceptible to FPS shenanigans, and we've kind of seen it in every single Resident Evil title since RE7. But RE7 has probably a more interesting way that FPS tends to affect things. As a result of us doing more damage because of higher FPS, enemies can also do more damage to us. So it goes both ways. And we can't really do like one-shot sort of techniques with the knife, but with the axe upcoming, you'll see that we can do a lot of damage thanks to FPS.
Yeah, FPS, notoriously, if you think about the recent RE games, people always think about Resident Evil 2 Remake as being like the poster boy of FPS abuse and the impact it had on the game. I think there's a fair argument in this day and age to say that I think it impacts Resident Evil 7 more. There's a lot that goes on under the hood that I'll talk about here in a second after I free Mia here. Do you want to really quick explain walk tech?
Yeah, so it's so fast that you definitely missed it, but effectively what you can do in this game to switch Ethan, because if you're holding shift, right, you're running, you can't actually unrun. So the way to go back to unrunning and switch back to walking is you have to double crouch. So Zeke actually has crouch bound on 2 keys, do you?
Yep, C and Q.
Yeah, so he'll quickly tap both those keys, and that actually puts Ethan back to walking. That's actually a new tech that was discovered maybe like a year and a half ago, and it doesn't shave, minutes off the run or anything like that. We're talking maybe like half a second for each time you do it, but this run has gotten so optimized that those half seconds really add up. And maybe not as much in Madhouse, but in other categories, like time saves like that save half a second to a second, really make the difference between world record and second place.
Yeah, it's a pretty important tech, and the reason why it works is because if you're sprinting, like if I'm in a full sprint and I pick up an item, Ethan will stop to pick up the item and confirm it. Whereas if you're walking and you do it, however, he doesn't stop. So the idea is you would run out an item, use the keybind to start walking, and then you'd grab the item. And you have to do this all very fast, and then to make sure you save time on it, and then start sprinting again, so you never actually stop when you pick up the item.
Yeah, it's like 4 inputs really, really fast because you double crouch, you have to pick up the item, so interact, and then you also have to start running again immediately after and turn around with the mouse all at the same time. It's like it kind of sucks to do at first, but it's one of those things that you don't have to worry about it until you're at Zeke's level.
It could be a big pain. So I mentioned earlier FPS and why it affects RE7 pretty bad. So I'm going to just give you just a little high level on it. RE7 has this, let's just call it a unique problem that's become more and more challenging as people's computers got better and better. RE7 ties its triggers to certain key things happening in the game. For example, if you want to progress the game through a phone call, the game forces you to answer the call to hit the trigger. Now, it goes a little bit deeper than that, where some triggers are tied behind audio. So if I wanted to progress the game later, certain audio needs to load to cause a trigger to happen to allow me to finish the game, to avoid soft locking. The reason I say this is because if your FPS is really, really high, which we can push almost 1,000 in this game, if you allow it to do that, the game will actually render faster than the audio files will actually load. And what happens is the audio just simply won't load. And it's a big problem if your FPS is really high because you actually will just soft lock randomly. And it is very, very frustrating.
Okay.
Yeah. So Zeke's waiting here. He's waiting for, speaking of audio, he's waiting for an audio trigger when Mia gets taken. And the way we stand here is kind of like the optimal spot where you're as close to getting out of this door as you can. So as soon as she gets taken, like we even see like the puff of dust as she gets like Wile E. Coyote snatched. And we're gonna come up here and also trigger this door, and that causes another audio to start at the bottom of the stairs, and that's Mia. And yeah, everything comes back to the audio triggers when you really think about it.
Yeah, it's interesting that that's what they chose to tie everything to was audio, and that's the one thing that breaks. So we cap our FPS typically at about 300 or just under, depending on who you are. I have my VSync turned on, so I'm capped at 240 right now. But I will remove that VSync on the Mia 1, the Mia 2, and a certain part later in the game to ensure I have the FPS to do what I need to do. So we'll basically go from 240 to like 800.
Yeah, we're going to be doing some blast processing.
Yeah.
So this sort of a cutscene part. You actually, it's counterintuitive. You want to run at Mia and you don't want to block. You don't want to press anything. Most people just take their hands off the keyboard completely here. And in Madhouse, Mia does an absurd amount of damage to you in this section. This is legitimate damage. It's not cutscene damage or anything like that. So we actually have to heal before the next part. Otherwise, it's really sketchy. And worth mentioning, when you're critical like this, Ethan moves slower. There is like kind of a timer before he'll start moving at normal speed again. He kind of like auto heals, but in Madhouse, he auto heals way slower than in the other difficulties. So we kind of don't want to run around at critical for too long. It's just kind of slow.
Yeah, and we're on a soft timer right here anyways. We have to wait a certain amount of time before we can even wake Mia up. So basically just going to chill here for a second, give it probably like 5 more seconds before I actually walk over Mia, just to make sure that the timer gets met. Should be able to walk over here now. Yep. Now I'm going to switch to my FPS, and Niddle can go ahead and explain Mia 1.
Yeah, so Mia 1 is actually, it's a way harder boss fight than it looks. But the basic gist of it is we're going to pick up the axe, and we're going to get up to Mia, and Zeke's going to swing in a very specific way to try and multi-hit as much as he can. So you see, he's kind of like aiming in the direction that he wants the swing to go, and that's the fight. But it's kind of interesting. You can force Ethan to swing in a specific way by moving the camera left to right versus right to left. And that actually plays a big role in Knife Only, and it also sort of plays a big role in the first Mia fight, which that was pretty good, dude.
Yeah, Mia, what's funny thing is it's not really talked about very much, but in with the multi-hitting that happens where, you know, we can swing an axe through an enemy, it's going to hopefully play a bigger part at Mia too. It should play a significantly bigger part, is that those hitboxes can kind of hit in weird places. The fight actually started a little strange because one of the hitboxes I think hit Mia like on her left side too high, and so she staggered to the right, and she's not supposed to do that. So I got caught off guard a little bit, had to kind of like reorientate myself, but I didn't die, and that's what matters. The big thing about this is it's going to be I didn't die, so that's okay. Like that's kind of the gist of Madhouse is that you didn't die, you did great. Like, great job.
So where's your current checkpoint right now? Like, how far back would you even go?
So Guest House actually has good checkpoints. So that one right there, gotcha. I just did a retry, so it's right there. Otherwise, the next checkpoint we do not get until we get past the dinner cutscene. So that's why we're going to be in about like 5-6 minutes, probably about 5 minutes, that we're actually going to get past the dinner cutscene and we get the next checkpoint. And then after that, half an hour.
Jeez, that is so long.
I will be making safety saves for very obvious reasons to avoid soft locking because we have to do a very complex long out of bounds and we have to do some very scary boss fights that I will certainly be making saves for.
Yeah. And it's almost like sometimes scarier than the boss fights are just these little interstitial areas where enemies can cheap shot you. Oh, by the way, Sarah D.
Oh yeah, this probably looks weird to some of you guys. It's just, we're just so used to Sarah D. It's just like we sometimes forget we have to mention that we are playing. It actually would have been very apparent to you right now in a second, like how different this is. We're playing on the censored version of the game. This is the Japanese version of the game that you can get by purchasing the game through the Microsoft Store, switching your computer to Japan, and installing. It's very simple to acquire. Now, full disclosure, I absolutely hate it. Sarah D has a lot of technical issues, a significant amount that even Capcom has essentially bailed on this thing.
They haven't updated Sarah D in 5 years. It's the last update was 2020. So it's we're like riding on a ghost ship at this point. Like nobody else is here except for us.
Yeah, and the reason we play on it is because it saves about 23 and a half seconds. And now Mia 2.
Yeah. So you just saw a safety save there in Madhouse, similar to RE2R. You have to make saves with cassette tapes, so you have a limited number of saves, but generally not a problem.
So what's the time save from the different versions?
23 and a half seconds. So Zeke's gonna line up pretty specifically here for the Mia 2 fight. He's gonna crouch and clip into her. Ooh, 2, 3. Okay, he was going for a one hit. So if you can get into just the perfect spot and kind of clip into her, you can kill her in one hit, even on Madhouse, which for a while people kind of doubted. There was definitely some Madhouse one-hit doubters, but it's gotten relatively consistent as long as you can pump like 400 plus frames per second.
Yeah, but, I mean, in most circumstances, that 3-hit right there, you would absolutely be very happy with that on Madhouse because the alternative is like a 17 hit, or the other alternative is dying. So it's Mia on Madhouse is one of the hardest bosses in the game. She's insanely fast. She has a built-in one-shot mechanic that is really, really hard to deal with. She's very hard. She's not the hardest part of the game, but she's one of the hardest parts, especially if you're new to Madhouse. I know I made it probably look a little trivial. Keep in mind that is 3,500 hours of no grass being touched, all Resident Evil 7 being played. That is why that looks, maybe a little easier. But no, let's talk about what I would like to think as the universal hatred of Resident Evil 7 speedrunners, which is the hallway. And now we get to talk about it on Madhouse.
I thought you were going to say cutscenes.
I mean, cutscenes too, maybe a little bit. We do have a lot of cutscenes in this game. I'd say a lot. It's about 20-ish minutes, 22 minutes of cutscenes. They're spread out pretty evenly, though, so thankfully it's not too overbearing. But we do have a few where we kind of sit here and we watch nothing, essentially. But we get to at least introduce the family. So before I talk about Hallway, let's talk about the family. That handsome unit in the middle is Jack Baker. He's actually nightmare fuel, like in every way, shape, and form in this run. He's like I said earlier, he's our tyrant. He's our main antagonist for the most part. This lady here on the right, this is Marguerite Baker. That's Jack's wife. We'll be seeing a lot more of her later. And that's Lucas. He threw a plate at us. He's actually just... His whole character trope is just kind of a bastard a little bit. He's not even like, he's kind of a mean guy. Like, we don't see much of Lucas during the main game. A lot of his story gets resolved in the DLC. And then we don't worry about this person on the left. They're not important. But everyone else, very important.
Yeah, Grandma's just chilling.
Yeah, she's just chilling.
Nothing weird.
She's just happy to be around.
As you may have noticed, Lucas's arm did not get cut off. That's another consequence of the censored version. It doesn't save any time, but it looks really goofy. You can tell that the censored version was kind of like an afterthought, given, you know, it like goes to black screen at one point, and later on we're going to be getting a key, and rather than doing the grotesque thing, the key is just like on the table. Like they kind of phoned in the censorship. They were Capcom was probably like, we don't want to do this, but I guess we have to.
Is that where the time save comes in though? Is it just like shorter cutscenes?
Yeah, it comes in from the key, and it comes in from the Jak 2 boss fight, and then also in the Jak 1 boss fight. Okay. So we'll kind of show you those as we get to them. Also, we forgot to mention the game is in Spanish. It is in Spanish because it is faster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So censored Japanese version.
Yeah. I know.
That's the way you
multicultural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so hallway.
Yeah, pretty tough section coming up. You got it?
No, it's all you did.
Okay, all right. So Jack's about to be coming down the other side of the hallway, and as we've stated, maybe not stated enough, Jack is like giga fast in this. So Zeke's gonna come down here. He's gonna hope that Jack does exactly what he did and fail the grab. And now he's going to switch his frame rate and try and bait Jack into that exact attack. He switched his frame rate to avoid getting multi-hit and accidentally knocked down, and then we forced the wall skip. So this setup is really, really hard to do, given Jack's speed. It's hard to even like force it because it's so fast. Like, so for the out-of-bounds setup that we're going to be doing, we kind of need this wall to be broken because it affects how we can manipulate Jack's pathing. And that was scary, but that you didn't die, and we got the wall skip, so that was pretty good.
Yeah,
to me.
I mean that was almost a perfect setup on Madhouse. You notice I crouched in front of Jack and then turned around. Jack on Madhouse will always try to do a leg cutoff scripted attack, which basically triggers this very long cutscene where Ethan loses his leg and it's really bad. But you can, if you know how Jack worked and you know how to move around him, you can actually crouch in front of him, force him to start the swing, which he will miss, and then you turn around, so Jack will then spin you directly in place, which is what set me up to get into the hole, because you're actually on a timer, that hole will just close on you. So I'm actually very, very pleased with how that went.
Yeah, the worst thing is when you get locked into that animation, whether you're crouched, whether you're standing, whatever. Well, you shouldn't be standing because then you're getting your leg chopped off. But as long as you're crouched, you get like completely frozen. You can't move. You can't do anything. The most insulting thing is if that door closes in your face and you have to wait and open it again, because Jack's going to stand there and probably spin you around a few times. So first sort of routing change from other difficulties, you saw Zeke pick up a antique coin. We need 3 of those for the Scorpion key, which that's kind of the major main house routing change in Madhouse versus easy or normal.
Yeah, it's a big change of pace. So we need to get 3 of them. Basically just to get that Scorpion key out of the bird cage later. We are meeting our good friend here, Deputy David Anderson. Awesome cop, doing a great job. Long-standing character. He has a long run in the franchise. Big fan. We need stuff.
He was great in Village.
Yeah, he was awesome in Village. I loved him. He's awesome. He's coming up in RE9 too, I've heard.
Yeah. I hope he gets a big role.
Yeah.
Main protagonist, probably.
Yeah, just hope he doesn't get a big head and lose his head or anything. That'd be really crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you. So basically where we're at right now is this cutscene. We need a weapon. We have no weapons yet. Up until this point, we have absolutely nothing unless we were doing New Game Plus, which we are not. So he gives us the best weapon in the game, which is a little pocket knife, which is pretty powerful in its own right, and we will use it on the first boss, but that's about the only time we're going to use it. Because we need to get a gun, and we will get that shortly, but we're going to do Jak 1 in a moment. And you kind of caught on already, but Niddle is going to be explaining basically every boss fight, because not only is it easier for me to focus, but it's a Madhouse. Any mistake I make could basically just mean I die. So I'm locking in, you could say, during the fights, and that's why Niddle will be taking over commentary for a lot of those. So we have Jak 1 coming up in a moment. I actually kind of want to see if we get the haunted box. I love the haunted box. It's like my favorite thing that happens. For some reason in Zero D, a lot. Let's see, is it gonna move? Moved a little bit. Oh, there we go.
What's in that box?
Yeah, what's in there? It's Casper, bro. He wants out. It's the box ghost.
Very scary.
So Jak 1 is coming up.
Yeah. So Jack won first fight of the game. Arguably not as bad as some of the other fights in terms of like precision and tightness, but Jack is still like just ridiculously fast. So first thing you're going to see is Zeke's going to run around, grab some things. He grabbed a heal out of that locker, I believe. He's going to use the lockpick on this chest to open up and get the key. And Jack stays on the other side of the car, which is perfect. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna get in the car and then we're gonna get out. And oh, that's rough. And now Jack's gonna get in the car. Ideally, he would kind of get in the car before he swings at you. And we're gonna go with some slashes into some gunshots and a final headshot. He actually has some iframes. Iframes are gonna be a big thing in this run, especially later. And that was a pretty good fight. Other than that rogue hit, I don't know what the deal was with that.
Yeah, on Madhouse, he like sometimes like there's a little bit of RNG to Jack's behavior, and sometimes he'll just kind of stand there and do like a little animation. He'll laugh, he'll scratch his beard, he'll do a bunch of things. If he does it right there, Jack's gonna queue up an attack on you when you get out. Most of the time, you'll iframe it out of the car, but because of where he was standing, that's why I blocked, and I was thankfully able to block it a little bit. I probably would have died there, ironically.
Yeah, it put you to crit.
Yeah, it was really spooky, but thankfully we survived it. Yeah, that's just a little taste of the kind of damage we're talking about in Madhouse. It's a
minor
little
censorship
intense.
difference here.
Yeah.
Jack's face doesn't get blown off. Yeah. There was some time save earlier. In the uncensored version, Jack actually like beats on Deputy David Anderson's corpse a whole bunch with the shovel, and it's like 5 or 6 seconds. It's kind of a long animation, and I guess they thought it was too graphic. Also, you may have noticed his head does not slide cleanly off in the cut. It kind of just it's almost more realistic, I would say, because unless that's like, I don't know.
I'm not sure how that would work realistically, honestly.
Let's not find out.
Let's not find out. So this is kind of the beginning of the out of bounds setup here. This is going to be a really complicated section. Like I said, it's actually the first time this has been sort of showcased in maybe any marathon. The Madhouse new game route specifically has changed. We do actually have a new out of bounds that applies to other categories. However, Madhouse new game specifically is just kind of crazy. So everything that Zeke does from this point, from any shots you see, are intentional to manipulate Jack. He's going to do another one here, I think, or later. There you go. Thanks. And we're coming upstairs. We're going to grab the shotgun. We're kind of cleaning up the main house right now because we're not going to want to come back out here really anytime soon. We don't want to have to come upstairs or do anything. So we're grabbing basically everything. And right now, Jack is in the room with us. He's so fast that like pretty much everywhere we go, he will be there within a couple seconds. He sort of cheats. He's like insanely fast when he's off camera. We're gonna come over here, solve the clock puzzle. This is a really specific setup. You saw a shot there, and that's to manipulate Jack's AI, make him move a little bit slower. And we want him to kick open this door, and then you're gonna see Zeke close this door also. And that slows him down just a little bit more because every time he does the door kick animation, you're gonna see a few more shots here, and that's just to further delay his AI. He's gonna solve the parts of the dog puzzle. Oh my god.
Horror game, by the way, sorry.
Yeah, definitely a horror game. He's going to insert the scorpion key, but not actually go in the door. And now he's going to go upstairs. And if you've ever seen the regular out of bounds setup, this is kind of like the part that you might recognize the most. Zeke's going to push past him and get Jack to sort of spin him and throw him out of bounds.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a pretty specific setup, but it's like you can learn it, but to master it at this level is just absolutely insane. So this is where everything deviates from any out of bounds route that you may have seen before. We're going to come up here and we're actually going to load in the staircase. And this is a really specific spot. I struggle with this lineup a lot. And we're going to come up here and solve the clock puzzle from behind the clock puzzle. this is actually a required trigger. So if we didn't do that, we would potentially be soft locked, or we would have to come back up to that room. So now we don't have to open that door at all. We've bypassed that. Now Ethan is what I like to call Smeethan. He is sort of clipped into the ground at below normal height, so it just looks like he's a little guy running around. You may notice Zeke is like stocking up on these separating agents. They're going to be really important for ammo crafting later. And this lineup is very specific. He's going to line himself up on the stairs and then move out of bounds, wander around in the void a little bit, and we're going to collect a whole bunch of stuff while we're out here. So now we're outside. We are just heading straight to the old house. And this line also has to be very specific. There's a lot of spots you can get stuck. There's a lot of spots you don't want to be. There's way more spots you don't want to be out of bounds than spots that you do want to be out of bounds. So all these lines are very specific. We're going to run out here, get the crow key, as well as some ammo, which is just kind of floating here out of bounds. Very convenient. So we got the crow key, so we're not going to need to get that later when we come to the old house. And because of all the items we have right now, we actually need to come out here and grab this backpack, which it's kind of annoying that we have to grab this backpack, but it makes things a lot easier for later. And one way or another, you need a backpack in Madhouse to hold all the key items and stuff like that. Now we're going to come over here and fall out of bounds, and it looks bad. It looks like this is not what we wanted to do. But fortunately, Capcom put in a mechanism that teleports you back to your last sort of valid location if you fall completely out of bounds. So he voided out, and now we're back here, and you saw him do this little double back loop, and that was so he could safely grab the repair kit. So now we can repair the shotgun. He's going to grab some more flame rounds, some more shotgun shells, and the coolest part is how quickly we end up back here. So now we are in what is more of a traditional, I guess, area for the out of bounds. It's not going to look super traditional if you've ever seen this out of bounds. Now we're crouched, so it kind of sucks that we have to do this whole section crouched, but it's important for our height. We grabbed the red key card, as well as some more ammo. So we're really stocking up on ammo where we can. Zeke's going to solve this puzzle while out of bounds, which means it's kind of awkward. You got to look up and do it like this. First few times you do this puzzle out of bounds, you're going to mess up and open the wrong drawer because it's really confusing from this perspective. Zeke did a bunch of fast inventory there to just combine some ammo. We can uncrouch now. Some of these walls, they have weird collision. Depending on the height that you're at, they sort of behave differently. We need to open this door, otherwise we won't have a way to get back later because you can't open it from the other side. And this is like the key to the out of bounds. This is what makes everything work. We can actually go back inbounds and be at the correct height. So what Zeke did there was he swapped his FPS to 30 just to prevent the room from loading in too quick. And now we're at the Jack 2 fight. And we have all of these items that we don't need to go out of our way for later, which is awesome. Cool. Yeah, that out of bounds was sort of found and routed by the Demented Salad. He did a crazy amount of work on getting that to work. And now we're straight into the Jack 2 fight. So 4 shots of enhanced ammo to the face, 2 more shots, and then 2 shotgun. And we're going to do some more inventory. Again, RE7 has the best inventory because you can sort of use the inventory while the timer is going, so we can just use downtime to do all of our inventorying. And then a few more rounds to get him down, and once his weak spot's exposed, we're just going to go with the chainsaw. A little bit of pause buffering to guarantee that we do the right amount of damage. Okay, nice. Very nice. And that's the Jack 2 fight. That fight in Madhouse is not supposed to be that easy. I promise you.
You guys follow all that? There's a lot there.
That was awesome. That sequence was really cool, man. That was great.
Yeah,
that out of bounds is just nuts. Yeah, man. It's so crazy.
It is such a nice change too, because it actually fixed an issue with this route specifically, whereas that Madhouse relied on RNG to be able to complete the run with a shotgun drop. But because of this out of bounds routing, we can now get like a almost guaranteed shotgun drop from Jack 2 for some reason. So it's awesome. It fixes that issue. That whole out of bounds is a very stressful sequence because it's the reason why I had Niddle explain this, because I have to focus on every single movement I make. If I go like on the stairs, if I line myself up, if I was like a pixel too low, I wouldn't be able to grab the backpack and I have to retry it. If I was a little too high, the map would load in and I couldn't progress.
I was worried, I'm not gonna lie, at the dissection room key door, because if there's like a cinder block in that hallway, and if you walk into it just slightly, you move like 2 pixels down and you can't interact with the dissection room key door, and it makes the whole thing a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, it's a huge pain.
Even the setup to get out of bounds, like manipulating Jack, that was awesome. That was so cool.
Yeah,
Whole thing.
because we need him to follow us, and you can actually you can kill and bring to life Jack if you want to during that section. You can completely kill him and then shoot him again, and he'll come back to life and start walking around after you. But having him follow you the whole time and just be like 5 feet behind you, always lurking around every corner, it's just like it's such a beautiful ballet of coordination.
Yeah, it is. There is a lot that goes on with it. I'm gonna double check to make sure I'm still on. Okay, my FPS is capped. The important part about it is on Madhouse, Jack is really fast, so you're actually worried about him catching up to you and causing problems. Whereas on Easy, Jack's really slow, and you're worried about him getting lost. So it's a very different,
too long,
very different out of bounds experience.
So talking to Zoe right now. Sorry, the plot's less important when you got this much. Like this has become such a dense run in the last year. It's gone from being a bit of a just get through it without dying kind of run to now there are some really specific and important strats that you can do to save consistent time.
Yeah, it's very very different than what it once was, and this is applied to every category. Obviously, the out of bounds isn't it's still pretty new on other categories. Like New Game Easy has a new out of bounds, a whole new route, but this category is the one where it's the most impactful because there's a lot you have to do, and it's all very punishing. Which is suiting because it's Madhouse. Like, why wouldn't it, right? Like, this would be the one where that would be the issue. But it's made the route a lot of fun and very, very challenging. So it's definitely changed significantly over the last year and a half. It is a very different run than it once was.
Yeah, it's been super cool to watch this run change. So this is Marge.
Hi, Marge.
She's a little rude.
Not very nice. Yeah, kind of closes the door on us. And I think we have a grenade launcher though, so we can just get right through the door pretty easily.
Yeah. Yeah, and you saw all the pickups that we were doing while out of bounds. That also really makes things easier. We were able to repair the shotgun. I didn't even mention that. We were able to repair the shotgun early. You're not supposed to have the shotgun in the Jack 2 fight.
Surprised it works. Like, I'm actually surprised it's coded to work. Capcom thinks about that stuff. Like, the grenade launcher doesn't work during Jack 2 if you were to go out of bounds and get it.
Because you're just not supposed to have it at that time. So it's like the damage doesn't quite react correctly to that damage type. But fortunately, the shotgun works, and the shotgun pumps. This version of the shotgun, there's 2 shotguns in the game. One of them is the weak shotgun, and that's the one that the game kind of guides you into picking up. But this shotgun only holds 2 shells, and it's more of a boomstick. As long as you're aiming down sights, this shotgun does really consistent high damage. Just spending some bullets now because of inventory space. Inventory space is a huge problem in Madhouse because of all the key items we have to pick up on top of all the ammo and everything else. So constantly being aware of your inventory and what you have in what spots is really important in this run. I could spend an hour just talking about how this game's inventory works because it's really good.
Yeah, it's really good, and it works against you. Usually the crank would be lower there in my inventory, but I picked up handgun ammo, so it kind of threw things off a little bit. But now we have what I would describe as kind of a boss fight, but also not really. This is more of just like a set piece boss. Marge 1 is almost nothing in every single category except for knife only. Madhouse, I guess. Knife only easy, you also just kind of don't care.
Yeah, we just say, okay.
Yeah. Marge can be killed very simply. I'm going to shoot a grenade launcher shot. I'm going to swap to my pistol, and then to my shotgun, and then back to the pistol, and she's dead.
Oh, nice.
Easy.
Very easy fight. We never really talked about DA, since it's not really super impactful in Resident Evil 7 outside of knife only. Oh, right, that's right, I'm in a different spot. But it's important to talk about it because Frit also mentioned it in his RE2R run that happened just before this. If you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. It was a really good run. DA is essentially an adaptive difficulty system that exists in almost all modern RE games. And the way it works in Madhouse is we're at DA rank 9, so we go from 8 to 9, and you're basically at 9 the whole run. Contrary to popular belief, on higher difficulties, enemies do not get tankier. They do not gain more health, except for Mia 2 for some reason, but I think that's a bug. Mia 2 gets 200 more health. Enemies don't get tankier. You actually just do less damage. The higher your DA is, the less damage you do, and the more damage things do to you. And the lower the DA, the inverse happens. But not really that impactful in Madhouse. We're always at max DA anyways.
Yeah. That makes sense.
DA plays a pretty big role in Knife Only Easy, for example, where we do actually do some DA manipulations. So Zeke's setting up for Lantern Skip right now. You're going to notice it looks a little janky. The game wanted us to go upstairs and look at this lantern, and Ethan kind of goes like, "Oh, I should do something about this," and that's your cue that you can then go down the stairs and you'll see Marge take her lantern and scurry away. We actually look at the spot where the lantern is through the ceiling, and the game counts that as hitting the trigger. So then we just have to drop into the hole at a specific spot. It's actually a really tight spot. It's something that takes a lot of practice, and Zeke's gonna make a safety save here. This is absolutely necessary in a marathon setting. March 2 is pretty rough. There's a lot of very specific things that we have to do for this fight to go well. Got a bit of a
yeah, it's the backpack, man. It's why we have to even with the backpack, it is still a struggle.
Yeah.
Hey,
March 2 is my. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask if I have time to do some announcements soon, or
we're about to start a boss fight, so right after I think
okay,
it's perfect.
Sure, sounds good.
Yeah, definitely.
March 2 is by far my favorite fight. It's a very song and dance, very methodical fight that I really like a lot. Hopefully we get a shotgun drop here. We didn't, but it should be fine. So we're kind of got to lock in. I can't miss a single thing. So Nil, go ahead.
All right, so March 2 is going to jump scare us at the window. We're going to go with a flame round and then 2 shotgun and 10 enhanced ammo. And you see Zeke doing these quick shots here. That's where he aims in and out as he fires. We're going to wait around the corner for a little bit and just reload. And then we're going to knock her out of the ceiling. We're going to shotgun in her nest, I guess I would call that, till it breaks. And then we're going to hit her with another flame round, which also clears open the cabinet, which we can loot potentially. And then we're going to just kind of combination shotgun and flame round for pretty much the rest of the fight. Marge is going to jump back up into the ceiling. This actually gives us some downtime. Marge won't do anything until Zeke shoots her. So it's a good time to kind of reload, check your weapons, inventory, whatever you got to do. And then we're going to shoot her down, and the rest of the fight should be some shotgun and flame rounds. And then I think we're going to finish off with some enhanced pistol rounds. It sounds like I'm ordering a really complicated dish at a fancy, and I think we'll finish it off with the enhanced pistol rounds, if that sounds nice. But yeah, this fight is actually really intricate. It's really hard to prevent Marge from running away. She, as you can see, she's really squirmy. She wants to leave. She's not having a good time, and that's the fight. So Marge is currently doing her death animation. We can run around the arena and grab some of the items that we totally didn't need, and yeah. If you want to go for announcements.
Sure, yeah. I'll get some out of the way. All right. So if you missed out on any of our Hotfix shows or events like Back to Black and Frost Fatales, check out the VODs on youtube.com/gamesdonequick. Also, your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel help support Games Done Quick Hotfix. If you enjoy watching speedruns, consider subscribing to the channel to get access to our emotes, have ad-free viewing, and chat with other subscribers during our replays. And back to y'all with this awesome run.
Thanks, Regal. Yeah, so March 2. That fight is one of the more engaged fights. Jack 3 is equally as engaged. There's a lot going on there too. March 2 is tricky because while we're not hindered by the RNG of potential shotgun ammo, if I had the extra round there that we would typically do if one more drop were to happen, that fight would have ended a little bit sooner instead of me having to blast a whole lot there in the last phase. But thankfully, I knew where to stand, so Marge couldn't get between me and the where she wanted to run away to. It's kind of like when you stand in front of your dog who's trying to run out the door. Basically what I was doing. And we were able to thankfully kill her before she got away, because otherwise you lose a lot of time. Marge will run away and start healing, and like spawning nests it's the worst experience on the planet. But yeah, that fight otherwise went very well. I'm very happy with that. The only problem now is because RNG wasn't necessarily in our favor. I wouldn't really call it like a horrible problem, but now we have to just get a little creative, is that we have no shotgun ammo. Which means I kind of have to figure out, and I'm kind of low on enhanced ammo, so I can't really just blast that as much as I would like. So we're going to get a little creative with the way we get around molded and hopefully survive, because we really haven't seen much molded, actually, now that I think about it. Like, have we really seen any at all at this point in the game? I don't think we have. So. Yeah, we have not seen it, which is crazy to think about, that because of this out of bounds, we see no molded at all until almost Lucas, which is, I never thought about that.
Normally, actually, there's a couple potential death spots on the way to the Jack 2 fight in Madhouse, where there's a four-legged molded that can cheap shot you. There's a couple regular molded that can hit you. But yeah, that was our first actual molded in the run.
We just ran right by him. They're all just pulling up.
There you saw the 30 FPS. I heard it once described as, it's like Ethan took a dip in a big vat of butter. And that's pretty much it. He gets real slippery.
Shout out to Moonrunes for that legendary analogy we've been using for like 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, right. So from this point on, we actually don't have to answer phone calls. You may remember from a casual playthrough, phone calls play a pretty big role. That one phone call in the trailer, that's kind of our last phone call, or the one in the old house where Zoe tells us to find the 2 ingredients. That's our last phone call that we have to answer. From this point on, as long as we trigger the phone calls, we can just bypass them completely. So you're going to see Zeke just kind of touch the corner of the trailer. And this is, again, a required trigger for the next section to progress. It's really funny if you don't hit the trailer and you just come back to the main house, because you'll get to the basement and like all the lights are on and it just doesn't quite like feel right. And you're like, something doesn't feel right. And then you realize that you can't progress.
Yeah, it's weird that you have to just hit that checkpoint rather than actually answering the call, which is very strange. I would think, you would have to answer the call if they really wanted to, but they just wanted to make sure you were looking, I guess, or like they wanted to make sure you went and said goodbye to the trailer or something. I'm not quite sure the logic behind it, but whatever works out. But mentioned earlier, when we did that out of bounds, we didn't have to do a few things that you would normally see people do in a speedrun or even a casual playthrough. Like in the old house, we didn't have to go back through the old house to get to the key that we would normally have to run past Marge to get. Since we already had it, we could just put the crank in and then go do Marge 1, which is not normally how that's supposed to go. And another sequence break we're gonna have here, because we already did the clock puzzle, which you have to do in order to progress the game, we don't have to go up into that room. So we only have to go into one of the key card rooms.
Yeah, so right now we're basically just progressing through to get the blue key card. So you saw Zeke grab another key that unlocks the 2 rooms upstairs, which are the kids' room and the parents' room, I guess, the main bedroom. We're on our way to the Lucas section. It's kind of the cleanup and leave old house part. And just from a sort of game design perspective, I think this game did a really good job at just kind of forcing the player to always be moving. I mean, especially in Madhouse, where everything's super fast. But this game kind of lends itself well to speedrunning, in my opinion, just because you're constantly engaged and you're put in a lot of situations where if you sat around shooting all the enemies, you're going to end up with absolutely no ammo for the upcoming boss or whatever. So, yeah, I know a lot of people whose Madhouse playthroughs, they get to Jack 3 and they're like, dude, I have no ammo. How am I supposed to do this fight?
Yeah, you get there and you're like, the game just doesn't give you anything, which is very typical of a Resident Evil hardest difficulty, is they will just not give you anything. And you get to a boss and you're like, Capcom, what was I supposed to do? And they just shrug, I don't know, bro. Get good. That's really what they say to you. They're just like, it's time to start over.
Yeah, pretty much. I hope you made a second save where you're a little bit further back. But yeah, coming up through the yard, there's a couple four-legged that can sometimes be annoying, but hopefully won't.
Because we're low on ammo and it's a marathon setting, I'm gonna do a knife-only strat here, where I'm gonna. Oh, snap. Hello, he's floating. What's homie doing? The knife-only strat is you can take a certain line and hug a crawler, and they will miss you if you dodge correctly. So the reason I did that is to save out on ammo. If you go in the trailer and walk out, they'll despawn. Because we didn't get really any helpful drops to assist us with that, that's going to be the safest way for me to preserve the ammo going into this next area and going into like Jack 3 and such. So that's why I did that. Instead of just killing them like we normally would, that would require 2 shotgun shells or potentially using my enhanced ammo and missing, which the G17 has the worst hip fire accuracy of any gun in the world, besides maybe the Magnum in this game. So yeah, better safe than sorry.
Yeah, we didn't even mention, there are 2 pistol ammo types. You've seen Zeke switching between them. They're enhanced and regular pistol ammo. The enhanced pistol ammo actually does quite a lot of damage, even from the G17. And so for most like boss DPS purposes, that was a primary weapon for the beginning of the run. I mean, kind of until the out of bounds. I'm saying this, the out of bounds kind of changed everything. Now we have the shotgun in Jack 2. It's like, it's GG.
Yeah. Like, yeah, we basically are using things we just never should have. I mean, even not just Madhouse. If you excuse me, if you watch a New Game Easy run, but I'd say
New Game Easy too.
I would say, I guess specifically my New Game Easy run, since it's not really a route many people are using yet. New Game Easy also takes a whole new different out of bounds, and they grab the grenade launcher early. You are not supposed to have that. Realistically, you could, in a casual setting, have it before March 2, or just before if you were to run back to the old house and all that stuff. But it really changes up the route because you don't use the shotgun at all anymore in that route where you used to use it for everything.
Yeah.
So it's changed that route quite a bit. So it's like I said, like rather what Niddle said earlier. Shout out to the Demented Salad, who not only found this, like, we already had the out of bounds before, but he really expanded upon it and really made it save a lot more time. It actually shaved time off every single category, and assisted with breaking minute barriers in other categories too. So very, very big shout outs to him. And not only that, but he also makes all of our timers and tools. So like, he's a priceless addition to the Resident Evil community.
Absolutely.
And this is Lucas. We didn't really talk about him. He kind of goes crazy here. He's been going crazy. We don't really talk much about Lucas because he plays a part in this. He plays a big story part in this, probably bigger than any other family member besides Evelyn. He plays a really big part in this, except his story concludes in the DLC where you play as imposter Chris Redfield, and you go through that DLC being, which is a really fun DLC, not a hero, and also ended actually all the RE7 DLC are just so absolutely peak.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's really funny. There's a TV in like the in the main living room of the main house in the daughter's DLC, but then in the main game it's not there. And then when you see Lucas, he has like he fancies himself kind of a Jigsaw. He definitely stole the TV from the living room so he could like set it up for his weird little Jigsaw trap maze thing. But yeah, we kind of have an obstacle course to get through here.
Yeah. The cool thing about RE7 is it takes a lot of different elements of like popular horror genres and kind of pushes them all together into one game and like really ties them together really nice. Lucas, kind of like what Niddle said, very Saw, very psychological horror oriented type of gameplay, and things in his area are all basically related to like that and like traps and such. And then that's problematic. Hold on. Let me think for a moment. We're short a lockpick. I didn't pick up the one in main house. I forgot that's a new addition to the out of bounds. You have to pick up a lockpick very out of order. I'm just trying to think about what that lockpick gives me.
Is it ammo?
It's flame rounds or red chems. So I also have no.
Oh, so yeah, what's the one in here?
Yeah, this is the flame rounds.
Yeah.
So we're gonna need those, or Jack 3 will not be killable. Okay, we're gonna have to adapt a little bit on the fly here.
Bear Grylls.
Also, we got no shotgun drops, so we're super adapting on the fly here.
Interesting.
Nice. Okay, saved. All right, we at least do that part. Okay.
Yeah. So we're coming up to the double fat molded fight. It's not that difficult of a fight. It's basically I think 4 shotgun shells and then enhanced pistol for the rest of them. And I think it's only like 1 or 2 enhanced pistol shots. So we don't need a lot of ammo for this part. but we're kind of building up to the Jack 3 part. Like it's, ammo pickups that we grabbed earlier in main house, as you can tell, are very important just so we can have enough supplies for Jack 3, because Jack 3 is a really tight fight. So you're gonna see the neuro round. The neuro round actually slows enemies down, which is useful in Madhouse when enemies are like wicked fast, and then just enhanced ammo for the rest of them. And that's the double fat molded fight. Those guys are really annoying if you don't know that the neuro rounds slow them down. Those guys are actually really awful if they start bumping into you, because they'll just like knock you around the arena and then throw up on you, and it's not pleasant.
Yeah, they could be a bit of a headache. Speaking of headaches, I'm trying to creatively problem solve this potential issue. Basically, what's happened here, right, is there's lockpick in main house. I forgot to pick it up. I had to choose between grabbing flame rounds or grabbing those neuros, so I grabbed the flame rounds instead. It's not necessarily dooming the run by any means. That's not going to be the case. Jack 3 is just, I think, going to be on extra hard mode now. So if you guys like the hard mode stuff from the GDQ, the Game Over hotfix, it's about to get really hard.
Yeah, this is a self-imposed challenge, right?
Yeah, self-imposed challenge. I'm like a Dark Souls runner.
Exactly.
This is SL1.
Yeah.
So this code, kind of funny. The code doesn't change. It's always 1408. If you enter the code like before you're meant to, the code actually randomizes itself to like one of, I think, like 6 possible options. So you don't want to enter the puzzle before you're meant to. You have to go through that fat molded fight and sort of that whole section. And if you do enter the code early, you actually have to check it instead of just knowing it by default.
Yeah, it's an interesting little thing they put in.
And this is the escape room.
Yep. So like I was mentioning earlier, before I like caught myself in a boo-boo, this is the psychological horror of Lucas, and then other horror elements are Jack Baker is a representation, direct reference to slasher horror. He has even a reference to Ash vs. Evil Dead in his Jack 2 boss fight. Very slasher, chainsaw, Texas chainsaw type deal is kind of where they went with him. And then Marge is more of like a grotesque body horror type aesthetic. And also a little bit of arachnophobia if you want to put her on that.
Lucy.
Lospy.
Lospy. I remember one time I was memeing and I read out the incorrect solutions as Zeke was scrolling through them, and he messed up. So I don't do that anymore.
It's gotten me before.
I went Lospy, Lucy.
You do that puzzle so many times, it's just 5 down or 5 up every single time, but you'll catch yourself like get confused one time. You're like, what's happened? Like it's happened to me a couple times where I just get a little confused on it. So Jack 3 is coming up. What I am going to probably do for this fight is pray a little bit. So I would hope you guys can do the same. Without the neuro rounds, it's going to create a little bit of a barrier, as well as having less enhanced ammo, but though that shouldn't be massively impactful, it's just going to be a little bit impactful. We're going to have fun because we're now going to be missing enhanced and neuro rounds because we're missing 2 red chems because we don't have that lockpick. So what's going to happen is I'm going to essentially have to not use a neuro round during Jack 3, which means he's going to be really, really fast, and there's a risk of him going up. Which if it happens, that's fine. It's just a little bit of time loss. It's not really the end of the world. Okay. The part I'm more spooked about is the second phase of Jack 3, which not having a neuro round there to slow him down, it's going to create a little bit of a spooky situation. But, we'll deal. Yeah, it's fine.
I've seen you win these.
Yeah, always.
How far back is your closest save?
Well, we're gonna get a checkpoint just on Jack 3, so we'll be fine there. I'm not really too worried about like dying. I'm more worried about like the fight taking an extra minute because Jack likes to crawl around and be a funny guy.
Sure.
So hopefully that doesn't.
For a long while, there wasn't even really an established way to like prevent Jack from climbing around and stuff like that. So because the neuro rounds actually slow him down, and because we can, under normal circumstances, we can continually dump damage into his weak points, we actually can prevent him from going up altogether, other than the one time where we want him to go up so we can hit his undertail eye, his Sans undertail eye.
There's a risk of me getting completely deleted here. So, yep. Okay, there's one. Not having shotgun shells here. We do get a bunch before Jack here in a second. And I'm just going to go 30, make life easier. Kind of the adapting on the fly you have to do. Yeah, butter mode. Can't believe it's not Ethan.
Nice.
Goodness gracious, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, shotgun.
Basically,
good.
every enemy becomes a huge risk in this category. Yeah, so that locked box Zeke would have normally been able to open. And red chem fluid is kind of like, it's sort of like the strongest component, like the strongest crafting component in the game. We can use it to make neuro rounds, we can use it to make enhanced ammo. Yeah, it's pretty critical.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think for a second here. What do I have on me? Okay.
The shotgun ammo is problematic too.
A little bit.
So right now we're waiting for Zoe to craft the serum, which supposedly will cure both Zoe and Mia. Unfortunately, one of them is not going to be getting the serum today. And Jack 3.
Yeah, so... I have the wrong gun out.
I'll narrate it like how I know it's supposed to go, but at a certain point, this is going to deviate in a way that we'll figure it out. So opening with a flame round, the flame rounds actually do damage over time, and it's kind of important that we have that persistent damage over time on Jack 3. So you're going to see a lot of flame rounds. I mean, at least we have those, right? We're gonna just get rid of this arm eye, and you see every time we kill an eye, he falls back down. That just gives us some time to reload, and we're going into the corner now to grab some more ammo, which that's mostly just shotgun ammo there. And again, just keeping the damage over time. We actually want Jack to be up there right now, and we're gonna get rid of his undertail eye right there. And you may notice sometimes Zeke is going to be not shooting on purpose. Like, there's going to be times where he's going to be delaying his shots. That's intentional. Jack 3 has a lot of iframes. Haha, joke. So we have to avoid hitting him when he has those iframes, just so we're not wasting ammo. You can get his eyes to 1 HP, but when they have those iframes, they'll just stay locked at 1 HP. So there are times where I think at least one of the eyes, due to the fire damage, is actually at 1 HP, and then we just sort of use that one bullet to drop it past that 1 HP. And this is where
slight scenic route.
we're getting creative.
Yeah,
we're getting a little creative. It's not too bad though.
No, he'll come back down.
Yeah, avoiding him climbing up is sort of critical in an optimal run.
What is that thing made of? Holy God!
Yeah, he's getting squirrely, dude. He knows.
I have 80 handgun bullets.
You have 80.
What are we doing? What are we doing here, man? All right, so this is where it's also gonna go off rails a little bit. I kind of have to. Yeah. I have no. What's it called? So he's gonna swing.
Yeah.
Come on, give me my reload.
It's really hard to even get this reload in. He's so fast. Nice. Okay.
So yeah, definitely not how that's
Yeah, normally you would neuro him, and that would buy you the time to get all 4 of those shots in before he swings.
Yeah.
That swing can take you to 1 HP. It's kind of lucky that the dodge or the block even worked there.
Nice. Yeah. Luckily to get through it without too much of an issue. But yeah, not picking up that lockpick is a. Now you know why that's bad. Like, one little mistake, as I mentioned earlier, very much throws off the whole run.
Right, and here Zoe tells us to use the serum on Jack, and then later says, "What do you mean? There's only 1 serum?" So, yeah, I'm just putting that out there.
Right. So, like, you actually in the game, you need to pick one to use the serum on later.
Yes.
I guess y'all will cover that when we get there.
Yep, and that's actually right now. It's either Mia or Zoe. Mia is the fastest one to pick, and saves about a minute.
Oh wow!
So typically, it's funny to sometimes pick Zoe, because if you pick Zoe, you get an extra boss fight, which is kind of fun. Which actually, it only adds a minute. How do we feel about choosing Zoe?
That's up to you. If you want to do the extra bit of content.
Mia 3?
Yeah, we'll do Mia
We're
3.
doing Mia 3?
We'll do Mia 3.
All right. We cured Best Girl.
We cured the actual one who deserves it. The non-bioterrorist, unironically. Like,
Yeah, Mia got us into this whole mess, dude. It's kind of, this is all on her. She can hang out with Jack and Joe.
yeah. Yeah, that was this you don't get to see this often. You will never see it in an actual run. But this is this is going to forward us to the non-canon ending. We choose Zoe so that Zoe can live, and then she kind of just dies anyways.
Nice.
Yeah. Kind of a phoned-in alternate ending sort of thing, right?
Yeah, basically, we're just gonna take a little boat ride before we switch over to playing to Mia's perspective. So this little cutscene's gonna play where essentially the same thing happens on this boat ride as it would if we had if we had chosen Mia, where Evelyn's basically gonna be like, "Hey, where are you going?" and tips over our boat, and usually Ethan gets kidnapped, which will still happen, but then we would take over as Mia, which is also still gonna happen. But in this cutscene, Zoe's gonna die basically, which is kind of lame.
Question: did we need to take a break?
Oh yes.
We can just get to a point where you can pause. You can.
Yeah.
Can you
we
pause?
just do it right after this cutscene ends.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Just wanted to check it.
Yeah, sounds good.
And we'll the Mia 3 boss fight. What's funny about it is it's kind of like Mia 2 and Mia 1, except way worse. And we do it Gordon Freeman style, where we get a crowbar, and that is our tool to fight Mia 3 with.
Oh, somebody needs to find a way to cheat in the crowbar, like at the start, and then we do like Gordon Freeman percent, just crowbar only.
Yeah.
That would actually be sick.
That would be so funny. I wonder if it even works. Like that would be really funny.
Yeah. It's like the last potential weapon you could get in the whole game. I wonder if it has any effect
It's
on
honestly
before.
weird that the weapons would not work on the enemies just because they're not there in the normal game. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
It's Capcom,
yeah,
baby.
they write so many things to prevent you from doing that, I guess.
The unique thing about the crowbar, though, is it doesn't exist unless you choose Zoe. So, like, if you were to mod it in, but you don't choose Zoe, how would the game react to you having a weapon that doesn't even exist?
right? Yeah. It might just take on the properties of either the axe or the knife, if I had to guess.
Yeah,
because we
see
have
that.
experimented with taking the axe out of Guest House, and it's a little janky. Like, the game it'll let you do it, but it doesn't really like it.
Yeah. So this is the end of the cutscene. So, Regal.
Okay, yeah, just get to a pause point, but we are going to take a short little 5 or 6 minute break, just so everybody can, take care of themselves, get up and use the bathroom, get a snack. So just stick around. We'll be right back. We're going to head to an intermission, but we have a good 40-minute chunk left to the run coming up. So stick around. All right, we'll be right back, y'all. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are here with Captain Ezekiel doing a Resident Evil 7 new game Madhouse speedrun. We just got back from a break. So, Zeke, if you want to get the run back up started, back to you, man.
All righty. Thank you so much. Yep. All right. I will count it down from 3. So 3, 2, 1, go. If you weren't here when we left off, fill you in. We just finished Jack 3. A lot of improvising had to be done for him, but we did do Jack 3. And we did something out of the ordinary you would not normally see in a speedrun, which is we chose Zoe in the decision to save Mia or Zoe. This doesn't really change much about the rest of the game that gets played, except it adds a little bit of time because we have to do a boss fight that we don't normally have to do, which is Mia 3. And it changes the ending canonically, to a non-canon ending, I mean, where both Mia and Zoe die.
Yeah. Capcom at one point did kind of a developer discussion commentary thing, and there was a point in time where there was going to be a boat fight with Jack 3. Kind of glad they didn't do that. Kind of glad we didn't get a Del Lago situation. But the decision to give a choice was not necessarily planned in from the start. It was something that they decided kind of mid-development. The VR decision was there from the beginning, though. I've heard people say that was phoned in, but from the very start, they wanted to make this game VR, and obviously the first-person perspective lends itself well to that.
Yeah, definitely does. And now we're playing as Mia, and we are on the boat. So now we've talked about the difficulties of this run. We've talked about what the issues are with it, how hard it is to actually get through Madhouse, the boss fights and such. All of that now pales in comparison to the speedrun graveyard, which is the boat. This section of the game, especially on Madhouse, is easily by far the most challenging and run-ending area of the game. And it is because we are playing as Mia, and we do not get our arsenal that we normally would get as Ethan. There's a lot of molded and very tight corridors, and the weapon we are given, cursed with, whatever you want to say, to deal with them is no more than an automatic like Red Ryder BB gun. Like it is the worst weapon ever. It does nothing. Pea shooter. Yeah, actual pea shooter. Like it is really, really bad. So we have to get creative with how we go to our molded. A little bit of praying that we don't get one shot, but hopefully it goes well. But we got a little bit till we get all the way up to the tape.
You want some RE7 speedrun trivia?
Yeah, hit me with it.
All right. Your first Madhouse New Game World Record was in February of 2022. Do you remember what your time was?
Oh, God. I'm trying to think, because Emery had it not Emery had it before me. It was Igni or Hulai had it before me. And I want to say it was like a 132 something, like 132.30.
That's actually really close. It was a 132.57. Yeah.
It was a 132 what?
57.
It's close. Hey, I was really close.
Yeah.
That was really
nice.
Close. All right.
Yeah. Do you know what the longest standing world record for a main category of RE7 is?
Oh, RE7 main category, longest standing record.
Mm-hmm.
And is it currently a record, or was it like historically the one that stood the longest?
No, it's currently a record. It's still the record.
Is it my New Game Plus Easy?
No, actually, it's your knife-only Madhouse.
Oh, God.
154.19. And it's been record for 2 years, 5 months, and 1 day.
Dang.
Madhouse knife-only is just awful, honestly. It's such a hand blaster of a category. It's not very fun.
That one's brutal.
Yeah. One more.
All right.
Do you know how many records you currently have in RE7, including DLCs and category extensions?
Hold on. Oh my God. I want to say 25.
You're really close. 22.
Okay.
22.
That's close. Yeah.
All right. That concludes the
RE7 trivia is solid.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we do have a speedrunning trivia show coming up after this. Think fast, by the way.
Oh, really?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
Put me in, coach.
Are you okay with me getting one more real quick announcement? Well,
Yeah,
go
for it.
ahead.
all right. Go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix to check out this season's lineup and check out the schedule for an in-depth look at this week's runs. And that's all I got for today. So back to you, Zeke.
All right. Sounds good. Now we are now on the tape. This is it. This is like the moment. Well, one of them. We also have post tape, but we're gonna pretend it doesn't exist for now. But right now we have tape. This is Alan. What's his last name again? Is it?
It depends. If you go by the in-game documents, it's Alan Droney, but in the credits, it's Alan Douglas. This character, he's so trivial to the RE franchise, they couldn't even get his name right.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything. But apparently he also did everything. He's the reason that this is all happening. But it's like, how could you be such apparently a very domino effect character in the whole game? And no one knows who you are.
Yeah. They. I don't know. I don't know if they did Alan dirty or if he deserves it. I think Alan might deserve everything that came to him.
They just maybe they just forgot that this was even here. He's such a nothing character because you see him that one time, you get 2 calls from him, you see him again, and he's dead.
Yeah. Who gets more screen time? You think Deputy David Anderson or?
Oh, it's gotta be David Anderson.
Yeah, I think the policeman does.
So what you just saw there is actually a pretty tight skip. And that's actually the first of 2 phone skips. We're not going to be doing the second one in Madhouse because it involves blowing yourself up with a remote bomb, and this is Madhouse. But basically what Zeke did was he positioned himself really quickly at the farthest possible interaction point of that little pile of vomit, and that triggers the Allen phone call. However, if you get close enough to the door, it actually cancels the call out because you're, I guess, already far enough past the trigger. So it's really tight, and it's kind of one of those things that, you know, it's so fast you could miss it, but it saves 16 seconds. And also, it saves having to listen to Alan just kind of like talk to us. Like, the less we have to hear from Alan, the better.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we're in the basement of the boat. Now this is where it gets like actually scary. So these little tight corridors here, and there's a lot of right there's that right there. that is a cheap shot. That is the most perfect example of one. Of a cheap shot. And it's better it happened from him and not from this guy with the big arm, because it would have certainly put us into almost critical. There's a lot of molded here who will hit you very fast and you won't be able to react to it or do anything about it. And there's just so many of them. And they like after we do this interaction here with Evelyn, we'll see that it gets even more extreme and really, really spooky. So I'm going to burn my first heal because I can't be missing any health walking through this area because I will die in one hit.
Yeah, as mentioned earlier, similar to how we can get a few multi-hits in, so can enemies. Because we're at high frame rate, enemies can actually hit us like twice in a single animation, a double cheap shot. And they can do it kind of like in a single frame. So before you even have a chance to think about blocking, they're just in the attack position doing damage to you. So, yeah, fortunately we have there is a checkpoint at the very start of this section. Hopefully we don't have to revisit it. What you saw there is a minor optimization. You walk halfway around, and then as soon as the watch starts to bug out, you can actually go back. You don't have to do a full loop around there, but just a minor optimization.
Yeah, and this is where we would do the other call skip right here, is we would have a bomb placed right here, and we would blow ourselves through it. But it saves not very much time, especially on new game categories, because you're stuck in this walking state. But on Madhouse, there we go. On Madhouse, we get put into near critical, and that means the next hit, if I use my heal, the next time we get hit, we are dead, basically. Like, we have no way to survive.
Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of just kind of 30 through these guys as much as we can, 30 FPS, just to avoid any sort of getting stuck on them, because getting stuck for even, you know, half a second can be the difference between dying and getting through clean. And then this is a very crowded hallway. It's kind of sus.
Oh, yeah, there she goes, everybody.
Yeah,
That looks dangerous.
Come on, move it.
Oh, let him through. Yeah, even with the block.
When they do that that hit, not end, sorry. When they do that cheap shot hit, the big arm molded threw himself in front of the other one and just completely 5 p.m. on a Monday blocked the whole highway. And, thanks, dude. And that guy had to make sure he let us know he wants to cheap shot us again anyways. So that's Madhouse right there. So that right there perfectly encapsulates Madhouse. Is you do this whole run, you think everything's going great, and then you get to boat and you get reminded of your morality.
I can see that.
Yeah.
It is
under normal circumstances, it's like kind of crazy. Like, even if you're playing this casually, you do not have enough ammo or supplies to deal with these enemies. Like, I think this part in Madhouse probably caused a lot of people frustration. Your machine gun, like, you can get some ammo for it. It barely has enough ammo to even scratch the dudes that they throw at you. So you're kind of forced, like I said, you're kind of forced to run through this section and ignore enemies a little bit, even casually, because stopping to try and kill them is just not a viable option.
Well, we got our game over out of the way. We're contractually obligated to have one game over each episode, so, you know.
The name drop.
Yeah, I mean,
only one though.
I'm happy to let it happen here. I suppose of all the places to die, this is not one of the worst ones, because the checkpoint is right here. Like, it is not that bad. It'd be different if I had died at, like, you know, March 2 and not made any saves. I would have flown all the way back to the end of Guest House. So
Yeah.
thankfully,
Back to the
they-
Stone Ages.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
So this is probably about a minute and a half or something like that. So it's not the end of the world. Surely we dropped the full DA rank now. Like surely we dropped a difficulty rank, which is DA's difficulty adjustment. Like we mentioned earlier. Hello. And so maybe the game's a little bit easier on us now. The problem is I have to just do the run again. And when we're playing on Madhouse, being that high on difficulty, it being 8 versus 9 doesn't matter.
Yeah, we dropped from difficulty 9 to difficulty 8, and we're about to go straight back up to difficulty 9 in like a second. Yeah, but the difference between 8 and 9 is like the difference between 100 miles an hour and 110 miles an hour. Like,
Yeah. Oh, that was much easier that time.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
We still ate a cheap shot there, but now we have to do the next part of this, which is we have to catch them all in this bomb so they don't just crowd me at this elevator. And she just loves checking her watch. It's the literal worst time ever.
Yeah, that's so funny. Sometimes you're like trying to reload, and she's like, "No,
What time is it?
And it literally gets killed. Like, all right, cool.
All right, crisis averted. We did it this time.
Nice.
Yeah, that's just a really tough section. Like, casually speedrun, especially, but
That is where Madhouse runs die. It is that spot right there, and it is that spot more than anywhere else. Is they will die right at that very spot. Could be new game, could be new game plus. That part right there is just where it happens because there's a big arm molded, and if he cheap shots you, they almost always double hit you, and they hit harder than regular molded, so you just get kind of blasted.
yeah, this guy's also sometimes a bit of a troll, but
Yeah, he's got the extendo arm.
the reach.
Yeah, but thankfully we're good.
So keep in mind, I think a lot of people dislike the ship because it's such a it's sort of like a pace killer just in terms of the pacing of the game. It's necessary to explain the plot and like why Mia is here and everything, but it's just kind of confusing because right now we're in the videotape. This is not like Mia in real time. This is Mia reliving the events of the ship crashing, and then we're gonna play through kind of the same sections as Mia. So I think this part just kind of threw a lot of people off casually, and I could kind of understand why,
Yeah, it is also the only tape you are required to do. And also on that note of what Niddle said, canonically then that means Mia died during the tape and I didn't lose any time. That's actually supposed to happen, and nothing went wrong, so it's fine.
That's true. Yeah, because we're just sitting. Mia is sitting in that office watching the tape, so she just watched the tape of her dying, and was like, all right, cool. And then the tape continued after that somehow.
But yeah, that is a common complaint that the boat kind of hurts the pacing of the game a bit. It is a very good lore dump, but it can get the boat casually very confusing because you have to go to so many different places and every area looks the same and hard to find out exactly where you need to be. When you're learning the speedrun, a lot of people will get confused at the start of learning the boat and learning where to go. It's like
it is
point, but
samey looking for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think a lot of people dislike it also because when you get out of the Jack 3 fight, you're feeling pretty good. You have the shotgun, you have the grenade launcher, you're like kind of stacked. You may have used all your ammo in Jack 3, but at least you have all this equipment. And then, Metroidvania style, you're like reset to absolutely nothing, and you have to wait to get all your stuff back again.
I mean, it further supports the notion that RE7 is a Metroidvania.
I've been saying it for years, dude.
It is like, I mean, if you really think about it, the way you backtrack through areas and the way you lose your loadout multiple times, it's honestly, I can see it. And our one skippable cutscene, our only one.
Yeah. It's a cool cutscene too. It's a shame.
Yeah, of all the cutscenes, we have to skip the cool one, which is so strange because if you think about it, yeah, it's like if you think about it, it's supposed to be like skippable because of VR, I believe is the intention, because otherwise on VR you would get insanely motion sick during that cutscene because you go flying around outside the boat and like you get pulled out by a storm into the water. It's like definitely disorienting.
If you play this game in VR, you get to that part and it's like it switches to like movie theater mode where you're just watching the cutscene on a screen and you're like, oh, okay.
Which VR for this game, by the way, phenomenal. Highly recommend if you have a PSVR.
Really?
It is an exceptionally good experience because it was built for it. It was meant to be on it. So like you actually are playing the game in a very different way, and it has a different menu. It has different everything. It's such a great experience. And you can still go out of bounds in it too, in case you're wondering.
Oh yeah, wow. I wonder what that looks like.
Yeah, that's true. The out of bounds works. It's very disorienting.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
Smeathan
I'd say
and
arguably
VR.
best horror VR game. Smeathan in VR. Nobody's actually ever done the new Out of Bounds in VR.
Oh, jeez.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That would actually be super funny.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah. what we're doing here is exactly what Niddle mentioned earlier. Is we're going through and getting all the things the game pretty much told us we needed to do already through the tape. So this section is a lot more linear, a bit more straightforward on what we need to do. So we're gonna go ahead and just grab a heal and make sure we're ready. We have 2 bombs as well we're gonna need to do because on Madhouse the layout's a little bit different. There's certain enemies in places that aren't there normally on easy. Like for example, there's a fat molded here that normally is not here. So we're gonna go 60, and this kind of breaks his projectile vomit a little bit, so we can just run right past him without getting hit, and then grab what we need to grab, and we just head out of the room. And because we went into a room, molded do this thing where they just despawn the second you leave a room. Interesting, but it works out.
Are you playing as Ethan?
Nope, we're still Mia.
Okay, I was about to say the
are still
shadow looks like Mia. I was about to say.
Yeah,
that
we're
would be
still
very
Mia.
strange. Yeah.
Yeah, we play as Mia for a little while until the end of the boat, basically. The whole boat section is just all Mia. You play as Mia as a couple times casually. Like if you were to do the Marguerite tape as Mia, you basically run away from Marge's here, which is probably one of the scariest points of this game, by the way. If you haven't played this casually, make sure you do all the tapes, because the Marge tape when you're as Mia is so unbelievably terrifying, because it's like you're running away from Marge, and you're crawling in dark holes and stuff, and like there's like a point where Mia crawls into a dark hole and the light goes out and then Marge shows up behind her. It's actually horrifying.
Yeah. We end up skipping a lot of the jump scares actually in the speed run, but this game has a good few of them.
This is a legit
I always forget.
scary game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's helped by sort of just the first person's perspective. It makes everything feel more claustrophobic. You can't see what's happening behind you, you know? So you have to keep checking, and then it's Jack, and then Jack's behind you.
Yeah.
You're dead.
And he's running at the speed of light.
Yeah, Jack is sprinting at you. So a little bit of a tricky pickup here, because as you can probably hear, there's a fat molded kind of vomiting into a wall. If done correctly, he's not a problem. Sometimes he gets a little feisty and he'll bump you with his belly.
You can hear him behind me.
Yeah.
But he's a little too slow, so we beat him. Sometimes he'll just catch up to you, and it's not really a big deal, but it's a little annoying to get stopped. That guy super body blocked me for some reason.
Yeah, it's funny how much farther enemies end up, because they'll spawn in when you enter an area, right? So in easy, that guy's like basically in the doorway still because he's very slow, but in Madhouse, he's like 10 feet out from the door already.
Yeah, it is interesting, and it's just also that it's Madhouse, so they're just a little bit faster, just in general. But yeah, now we're approaching the end of the boat. I got to remember that we have a boss fight. It's coming up here in a couple minutes after the final cutscene of the boat. We have to go through this area again. This time it's not nearly as scary as before. We only get one guy really that we care about, and a couple mold at the very end. He just had to make sure just that to do it.
The easiest cheap shot.
Yeah. On easy, that cheap shot's good because it actually lets you save time. The crawler, so little thing about cheap shots is there's a logic to it. There's a method to the madness, where if you haven't been cheap shot in a while, you are more likely to be cheap shot. So on the boat, if I go through the first full bunch of enemies and then pass them molded, I can almost predict when the next one's gonna hit me. And if one cheap shots you, you're almost guaranteed not to get cheap shot by another one immediately after. Do a retry here just to skip the cutscene start. And what that means for that crawler there specifically, that guy who cheap shot me just now, on easy, and it would happen to Madhouse too, but I killed him with the bomb, he jumps back. The molded jumps away and it lets you pass the door for free. Oh no, that's right, she is still in this cutscene. I can't remember if Zoe still appears in this cutscene, because I guess you still technically get the canon cutscene in this cutscene. This is a very interesting one. First of all, Jack's head is floating. You can see in the shadow he's got no body. There's nothing.
It's like mounted like a trophy.
Yeah, he's got
Or
like a bust. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rayman style or something. It's weird.
It's a very interesting shadow missing, and it only applies to him. This cutscene's always my favorite to explain because there's a lot of like little nuances that if you didn't pay attention, you wouldn't really notice. There's an overarching thing here. This is canon, so the ending we're getting is non-canon. So disregard the fact that Zoe's dead. It's not actually relevant. All the people here, so Zoe, Jack, and Ethan are all technically still alive. Jack is still alive, Ethan's still alive, and so is Zoe. The reason why we're all here is because we're connected via the Mega Mycete, which is explained in Resident Evil Village, but that's basically what Evelyn is using to control everyone. It's the mold. So that's why we're all still here, is because we're all still alive. And there's a reference to Marguerite. Her lantern is here. She's the only one who is actually not alive. She's dead because, Ethan killed her. Mia is not here, and Lucas are not here because canonically, both Mia and Lucas got the injection to clear them of the mold, which is why neither of them are connected. So they're not in this scene. So it's always little fun tidbits about this whole scene. Also, it's very depressing. Jack is so sad during this cutscene, but it's not as sad on Spanish.
It's not as sad on Spanish.
It's just
Maybe
it's
it is, but you just don't
it
understand
is.
it.
Yeah,
it's actually heartbreaking in Spanish.
It's the easy way to really pull yourself out emotionally from it. If you don't want to be sad, just change the language to something funny. Like,
yeah,
there you go.
I'll put it in Swedish.
Yeah, the hardest part of this run is learning Spanish.
Yeah.
That's a stolen joke.
So now this cutscene changes. This part of the game changes a little bit. Even the way the mold gets torn down around Ethan here changes because we chose Zoe. So now we have to fight Mia. We say it's Gordon Freeman % when we fight Mia because you use a crowbar. And this thing sucks. It is such an awful weapon. I haven't fought Mia 3 in a couple years, but I'm sure I could figure it out again. I'm not too concerned. The whole point of this fight is to essentially circle around Mia and just beat her with the crowbar. Her health is a lot lower. She has Mia 1 levels of HP. You just can't really get multi-hits.
Okay, so extra content here.
Yeah, extra content.
Bonus. Yeah, not a lot of people actually see this if you watch speedruns regularly, because obviously the cutscene itself takes longer, and then on top of that, you have to do the fight, which obviously you wouldn't normally have to do. So it's generally a lose-lose. People have floated the idea of like a save Zoe %, but it's like, the run is the same.
Yeah.
The world record holder would be the same.
Not a
It's
huge difference.
Enough of a difference. Yeah. It would have been kind of cool if you like played through the boat differently or something like that, but... So yeah, just farming hits with the crowbar. Mr. Freeman.
Please.
Wake up and smell the mold.
And that's the Mia 3 boss fight. I got put in a crit.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate, isn't it?
I forgot about how she hits kind of hard. Like, she kind of punched me a little bit. Yeah, Mia 3 is a very simple fight. You get the bad ending here, which is not faster. Let's make that very clear. This is not faster, and we did it simply just for the showcase for the extra content. This is the non-canon ending. Mia dies, Zoe dies, Ethan leaves. Village never happens.
Village never happens, yeah.
Resident Evil ends at 7. We all live happily ever after. Except for
Ethan throws his phone off of a helicopter. It's
for like
it's pretty
no
depressing.
reason. Like
Yeah, absolutely no reason.
you still got to pay that off. Ethan, like,
Yeah.
Horizon's not gonna be very happy. They don't care if you killed your wife and had to kill that other lady. They don't care. They really don't.
You still have to pay your phone bill, Ethan. But now the rest of this is as it would normally be. Only difference being we're kind of injured, but
Yeah, I'm gonna get my heals back out of the box here before any enemies though, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
yeah. And this is kind of like the final gauntlet as we get towards the end. The game throws quite a lot of enemies at you in these last few sections. We're gonna be like bypassing the majority of them, but they can sometimes cheap shot as we've seen, and they can be a bit of a troll. The spot coming up actually with the elevator can, I don't even want to say it. It can go bad. I'll just leave it at that.
Real bad.
Yeah, but it won't this time.
I also have very little shock and ammo to add a little bit of dramatic effect to it.
Yeah.
We're hurting. It won't go bad. Like, come on, guys. Who do you think this is? The hardest difficulty speedrun on a marathon?
Yeah. Yeah, New Game Madhouse by far the hardest category to optimize. Just purely on the fact that everything can kill you, everything is stupidly fast, and you're just constantly starved for heals, ammo, and a way out. So these molded can be a bit of a troll. If the molded do get on the elevator, it's pretty bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, just
I shouldn't have said anything.
yeah, just say it, didn't you? Did.
I shouldn't have said anything.
That guy's just hanging out in the elevator like he owns the place.
Yeah, so you can't use the button when the molded are in the There's like a strict weight limit.
Dude,
So-
out of the elevator.
Yeah, you got to get them out of the elevator and then run back to the elevator.
Don't do it, man.
Killing these guys is not really
The
an
door
option
closed.
with our ammo count. Oh, that's so ridiculous. I didn't even know that could happen.
Hurry, Ethan!
Oh my god.
Is that like the
Okay.
fully
Oh,
going record
man.
and blame Niddle for that?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Yeah, that one's me.
That
Sorry.
is so messed up.
Yeah. Well, no, it's a good. We got to showcase what happens when the molded get on the elevator.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
You run around like crazy. You get
Yeah,
real scared.
you
You,
gotta-
actually, what happens in the normal sprint is you close out of the game and you go lay down in bed. Because
Yeah, that's the good night part. Getting this far and then having the molded on the elevator in a PB setting is just, it's actually one of the worst things. And it can happen on any difficulty, actually. This game is like really deterministic. That's one of the reasons why I think it's a great speedrun. Especially if you're looking for a new speedrun. Like, you don't have to jump straight into Madhouse New Game with the crazy out of bounds and all this stuff. It's very like modular. You can learn at your own pace. But everything is very deterministic. There's not a lot of RNG. So what you put into the game, you kind of get out. If you can consistently perform well and react well, and you learn how to deal with boss fights, if you miss a shot and stuff like that, you can effectively, put up the exact same time multiple times in a row. And I think that, it's good and bad. A little bit of RNG helps here and there. The only RNG we really have is with the enemies. So that's your little bit of RNG.
yeah, I'm gonna play this a little safe and grab a couple of extra things in this room.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of the fact that I have been playing on poverty mode right now, basically, and I have close to nothing in terms of resources that I need to like survive. So we're gonna grab a few extra items. Grab this, and we're gonna make.
Yeah, fortunately, the game does stock you up on heals before this part. This last sort of gauntlet section, you at least have all your gear, you have heals, you have a good amount of ammo, normally. And you can also make a save.
One last
I
save.
thought you were
save.
gonna. I thought you were gonna skip it. I was gonna be like, that's a
Yeah,
bold move.
I forgot from like, wait a minute, I forgot where I'm at here. Let me remind myself to save because the game will punish me
Yeah.
for it.
So right now, we're in the salt mines that is right below the Baker House, just for reference. They just have this, like any Louisiana home, like any good Louisiana home, has a salt mine just underneath it.
Yeah, the way it goes, right? That's normal.
Yeah. And this has sort of been a staging area for the connections and stuff like that. That's why we saw all that gear and stuff set up. This section's really difficult. It goes without saying. It's significantly harder in Madhouse than it is in Easy, because in Madhouse we don't get a checkpoint at the beginning, so Ethan's actually running through this section with his indoor running speed. That's why he's slow as heck. In Easy, we get a checkpoint at the beginning, we can reload, and then Ethan just kind of blasts through this area at full speed. It makes things a lot easier, besides the fact that enemies don't hit hard in Easy really at all. And yeah, so the play is just going to be to kind of blast these enemies out of the way. There's a cool thing you can do, not in Madhouse, but in other difficulties where you can prevent spawn, because there can only be so many molded in an area. So if you actually avoid killing some of those molded, some of the ones up at the top won't spawn. But that's not really viable for Madhouse. Also, that fat molded is there only in Madhouse. And this part has bombs on the ladder. This part is so troll, because I think almost everybody first Madhouse playthrough, they're like, oh sweet, I killed the two fat molded, I can go up the ladder, and they just instantly die because there's trip bombs all along the ladder.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's only in Madhouse. So, you get through your normal playthrough, you're like, all right, cool, let's crush Madhouse. And then you just get,
I kind of like that, honestly. I think
It
that's
is a funny little addition.
Yeah,
Gets
that's
everyone.
good.
Yeah.
I actually I broke record for this category a couple days ago, and I would have gotten sub 131, which was my goal at the time. And I shoot the bombs like I normally do, but like sometimes that grenade launcher shot misses, and you can't really see the other bomb. And so I started climbing, and I was like, oh my god, there's a bomb up there, and I had to jump down the ladder and take care of it, because otherwise you get to the very top and it blasts you off. The funny thing is about those bombs is they can't kill you. Unlike any other bomb in the game that can normally just kill Ethan, those bombs can't. They thought about that. They didn't want you to climb up there and die to something you couldn't see and be like, oh, get owned. Which is weird because it would happen to the Lucas section all the time, but...
Well, it's not the bomb that kills you, it's the fat molded waiting at the bottom of the
those guys
ladder.
down there,
yeah. Oh my god, we're back in guest house. Oh no, now we have to do the whole run over again.
Time to start from the beginning, guys. This is Mia. We're on the censored Japanese version, which is why this doesn't actually stab through us.
But yeah, so we looped all the way back around through the salt mines. Now we're back in the guest house, and now we get to see what Mia saw when she was kind of attacking Ethan, which is she was under the influence of Evie. Now we understand that it wasn't our wife trying to kill us. It was the little girl that our wife helped create and bring to Louisiana. So it's
way more logical, significantly more plausible.
Right. And we have kind of one last sort of set piece boss fight that I'm not even gonna say anything. It goes fine all the time.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Everything's been fine.
Yeah.
Really everything was fine just until the lockpick incident. And everything kind of went a little awry, but kept it interesting. This on Evie here on Madhouse, she's actually a lot easier because she's so fast. You have to block too, whereas on Easy you go for a tech to one cycle her. It's a really simple little gimmick here, but then the actual Evelyn boss fight is very, very straightforward. Definitely, I wouldn't even call it a boss fight. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wish they had done a little bit more with it. It almost feels like Jak 3 is the actual last boss fight.
Yeah, absolutely. But now we find out it was Grandma all along.
The whole time she was. I lied to you guys. She was actually an important character. The whole time.
They all took the bait.
Yeah.
I can't believe they fell for it.
You fools. This is probably a little confusing. Like, why is the little girl an old lady now? What's going on? This doesn't make any sense. A lot of it's a little confusing unless you really look at the game and play, 1, 2, 3,000 hours worth, and eventually you'll start to understand that Evelyn was that child when she was on the boat, and she was a bioweapon that was manufactured, and I'm stuck against the wall apparently. She was made essentially to make armies, and she was being sold to the connections to essentially do that. And what happens is she was receiving treatments to keep her kind of controlled. That's kind of what what Mia and Alan were doing. We're bringing her to where she needs to go and giving her treatments to keep her controlled, keep her docile as like a little girl. And what happened was Alan did something. We still don't know what, but he did something, and the boat crashed. Evelyn got loose. The Baker family got her, and she stopped receiving those treatments, and then she aged dramatically in 3 years, which is why she's now an old lady.
Yeah, a good bit of sort of this game's lore isn't really even explained properly until Village, I would say.
Yeah.
But they storyboarded it in advance, because there's a lot of things that come back into play. And again, if you haven't played 7 or Village casually, you really should.
Yeah.
Even just, casually on a regular, sane difficulty, this game is still really challenging and really fun.
Yeah, it's a super, super good experience. Would highly recommend giving it a shot. If you like Resident Evil games, but you want a little bit more of a horror element to it, RE7 fits that bill better than any other game. It really nails the horror. And the feel of the game is very good. Highly recommend. And if you're interested in speedrunning it, we do have a community for it. The RE7 Speedrunner community. You can get it through the SRC page, the speedrunner.com page. If you're interested in speedrunning it, I'd highly recommend, New Game Easy and New Game Plus Easy to start. Very fun, very easy runs to pick up. And if you're ever interested in doing Madhouse, it's an option. But as you can clearly see, it's not for the faint of heart. But it is a very, very fun run. And the time will be coming up in just about a minute here. We have to do 4 shots. We don't move our mouse at all. We just click a bunch of times. And that's the Evelyn boss fight, and that's Resident Evil 7, basically.
GG's, man.
Thank you. We gotta wait for her to die. She's very dramatic.
Yeah, very dramatic.
Very dramatic. The timer ends when the screen goes completely black, so I'll cut that here in just a second.
It's funny, in a PB, you always try and like time it from, you're like, okay, her face fell down. It's going to be 15 seconds from now that the timer ends. Like,
Yeah. For me, it's 10 seconds when the screen starts to fade.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, and then time.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's RE7. And here, if you look at what was our game time? 137? Sounds about right.
Yeah.
The death.
That's really good.
Yeah, the death added.
The death, I less the death, more the savings.
Yeah, it's really the save, going out of the way to save and whatnot. But yeah, also confidential. Now that I've noticed, now that Niddle's pointed it out to me, that this is the Not a Hero DLC. It says confidential up on that document there.
Yeah.
It's just,
Nice.
not what it's meant to say, I don't think. But yeah, anyways, a quick shout out to Niddle for commentating. Thank you again for commentating. Niddle typically commentates almost all of my RE7 runs. If you look at any GDQ hotfix, you're more than likely going to see him being the one commentating. So thank you, Niddle, for commentating again.
Anytime, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And thank you, Regal and GDQ, for having me on. Regal, you've been working to try to have me on your show, and I appreciate the diligence and caught me at a good time running RE7.
Yeah.
So it was a great run, and yeah, shout outs to my friends, to the RE7 community and whatnot for the run. And like I said, if you like Resident Evil content or Resident Evil speedrunning content, like Niddle mentioned earlier, I have 22 world records in Resident Evil 7. I've been running this game for 6 years now. This is a very fun game. I highly recommend. If you ever start running it and you need help asking the Discord, you're more than likely to receive a response from probably either me or Niddle, realistically. And yeah, if you're ever interested in the game or speedrunning content, I make all that happen on twitch.tv/Captain Ezekiel. I also have a YouTube as well, so feel free to check it out.
Yeah, everybody follow Captain Ezekiel.
Yeah.
He's the man.
All right. That was an amazing run, honestly. And yeah, I've been trying to get Zeke on the show for like weeks now, and it's just like we kind of kept flying past each other in terms of like what he could do and what he couldn't do, but we finally like got it worked out. Zeke's a really awesome runner. Niddle, that was great commentary. We had two really great runs today, actually. Fantastic runs. Frit put on like a clinic in RE2 Remake earlier. So if you missed that, I highly suggest going back and checking out that run. It was really, really good. And this run, there's like so many new things. I'm not super familiar with like RE7 runs, but I've seen a few things over the years. I've never seen a sequence like that out of bounds that y'all did before. That was incredible. And also the commentary was great. So thank y'all so much for being on. Thank you to Frit. Those were amazing runs. But that's going to be all for today's episode of Game Over. So thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Regal. Make sure you stay tuned, though. We're not done with hotfix shows tonight. Coming up after this, we have Think Fast, the speedrunning quiz show after this. So stay tuned for that. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.